It's time to move our attention from Perth to the Pink City. All eyes on the auction day. This is ESPNcricinfo's extensive coverage auction day presented by League Adda. I am Ranu Kapoor in studio with me as we've traded our traditional suits for Test cricket to our IPL colours. Ajit Agarkar has been around in the IPL and been with us for many a year. Ajit, excited?
No.
Auctions
always no. It's always interesting. It throws up
Yes.
some surprises during the auction. Not the big auction this time around, but there are still a few players which the teams would want to fill gaps. So they're always interesting.
Now it's not a big auction like Ajit rightly points out, but big or small, we have to have Gaurav Sundararaman with us because he's the IPL wizard. The IPL wizard knows everything, not just about IPL, but T20 cricket going around the world, and of course senior data analyst at ESPNcricinfo. Gaurav, good to have you.
Thank you. That was a flattering intro.
Yeah,
But,
you've got to live up to it because you're making all sorts of predictions. As I can see, you've already listed, if you're following Gaurav on Twitter, as you must, he's already put down a series of predictions as to who he thinks will get big money and who he thinks will get reasonable bids. Sum up this auction from your perspective. What are you looking forward to?
So these mini auctions throws up a lot of randomness. We see uncapped players going for a lot of money. This auction is mainly for fast bowlers and wicket keepers. From the basic structure of all teams, these are two slots which a lot of teams would look for, and obviously, some backups for different slots. So. Yeah. And the biggest thing is we don't know where the auction is.
Yes.
Whether it's in South Africa,
Where the
whether
IPL
it's
is.
in,
Where the IPL is.
Yeah. So
That's an interesting one because it could very well move to conditions where you'll suddenly have to look for different players who suit those conditions.
Let's assume though that that a large part of it will be in India, if not all of it. We know that that's what is the priority for the BCCI, and understandably so. But they are waiting on powers beyond them in the dates for the general elections and whatnot. But like Gaurav says, it's not going to be one of those big auctions. 351 players are in it, but only 70 can actually get picked. So there's going to be a significant amount of this auction that will actually just move along quickly, only if the franchises want it. And I'm delighted that we've got someone who's watched all those suits and boots get into the fancy hotel somewhere on the outskirts of Jaipur. Nikhil Naz, good to have you on the show. Tell me what's the mood in the build-up to the auction. You've just reached there. Who's turned up in attendance for the franchises? What's the mood like?
Well, people are trickling in, Ronak, as I speak. As you mentioned, we're closer to Delhi than we are to Jaipur. We're on the outskirts of Jaipur at the moment. I did get an opportunity to speak to a few people involved with the various franchises, tried to get some names out of them. We just saw VVS Lakshman go by. He's very forthcoming with his views on cricket when he's in our ESPNcricinfo studios, but wasn't ready to give anything out as far as the IPL auction is concerned. But the names that are doing the round, the opportunity that I had to speak to a few people here with the franchises, the likes of Hetmeyer, Akshar Patel, Nicholas Curran, Unadkat, Varun Varun Chakravarthy and Shivam Dubey. Now these are the names that are doing the round, but no one's really here actually spelling out what is it that they're going after. I mean, some things that you can clearly at the moment say is that you'll have a maximum of 70 players go under the hammer. A minimum of 22 will definitely be sold. I'm going to make a prediction though, Ronak. I know it's pretty early and it's just based on my hunch and whatever little I had the opportunity to speak to. Never know, Yuvraj Singh to Mumbai Indians maybe.
Oh my, is that right? That's a prediction. I'm going to keep my eye on that one. I've noted it down. If I could ask you how much you're putting on that, but then let's wait for another day. It'll all be friendly. Any appearances, new teams, new personnel and support staff? We know Delhi's got new owners. We know Zaheer Khan is with the Mumbai Indians. Like you pointed out, Mike Hesson has joined Kings 11. Any of those that you see out there, or are there any of the regulars?
I couldn't hear you properly, but if I heard you correctly, whatever you're trying to say is in the regulars in terms of sitting on the auction table. Is that what you're trying to ask?
That's right. We know a lot of new personnel for each franchise. Nikhil, Zaheer Khan has joined the Mumbai camp. Is he part of the auction think tank that's attended for Mumbai? Mike Hesson for Punjab. Tell me who else you've sort of spotted who might be new faces to the IPL auction table for the franchises.
Yeah. I'll just let you know who all I've spotted at the moment. Mike Hesson is here. Now you remember he's the new coach for Kings 11 Punjab. I saw Mohammad Kaif a short while ago. He's the assistant coach with Delhi Daredevils. VVS Lakshman, as I mentioned, is also is also here. So you've got the regular, and of course plenty of addition as well. Delhi, as you know, completely new management with a brand new name and plenty of action you'd expect. Looking at just the purse, it's going to be the teams from north of India, Delhi, Kings 11, Punjab, Jaipur. That's where all the action is going to be. I've also spotted two very important people from the BCCI from different ends, if I could say. One is the acting BCCI president that I just saw, CK Khanna, go past, and then you also had Diana Adilji, the member of the CEO. They're also there. So all in readiness. One thing, yes, you're talking about regulars here. One person who's going to be missing is the regular auctioneer. We've seen him all around. Richard Madley, he's not going to be around this time.
Yeah, much to the dismay of a lot of IPL fans. I see that he's quite a loved auctioneer, but I don't know if you've had a chance to catch up with the new auctioneer or get his thoughts on it. The one thing he will not have is the baggage of calling the Delhi team Delhi Daredevils. He can start afresh by calling them Delhi Capitals, which is something we'll all have to get used to, Nikhil.
Just couldn't hear you very well.
Okay, I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you, Nikhil. But many thanks for joining us from Jaipur.
Sure.
And it's time to also say hello to Brad Hodge, who's been in enough IPL dressing rooms in his time as a player for Rajasthan, Kolkata, Kochi even, and most recently as coach. Hodgie, it's getting nice and late in the evening. I'm sure you've enjoyed Australia's comeback in the tests, but this is the real deal, isn't it? The IPL auction.
This is the most exciting time of the summer, there's no doubt. The IPL auction for everyone is jam-packed full of fun and excitement, not only for management to get their decisions right and the execution, but also the players as well. You know, the list of players which are excited about the prospect of joining the IPL tonight or today in your terms is it's a big night for everyone.
And I assume, like there would be in India, there would be a few Aussies watching, following, seeing if they get bids or not, or is that not as big a deal this year given the availability factor for a lot of the international players?
Look, I think it's still a big deal, absolutely. I think that, one of the things which all players crave for is opportunity, an opportunity to get a chance to play in the Indian Premier League. It is the most important domestic tournament in the world. It's the best domestic tournament in the world. And everyone playing international cricket and domestic cricket in the world wants to be a part of it. And that includes coaching staff, management. They all want to be there. It's an exciting time. And everyone will be watching this broadcast. Everyone will be watching social media. There'll be friends talking to friends. There's a lot of excitement and some secret little texts going on here and there. But it's all good fun.
Okay, I'm going to give you enough time to think about some of those texts that you might have exchanged. You've been on the auction table before. We're delighted to have you for the entire coverage today. So I'll come back to you, Haji. But that's essentially the theme of this auction, Ajit, availability. If one set of people don't like World Cup years, it's the franchise owners, because it limits their prospects. As far as you already know, a lot of the boards have said they want certain players halfway through the IPL, maybe even sooner. There have been pullouts. The Indian team is also looking at managing workload. That surely must affect how a franchise approaches this.
I think huge difference it would make, because a lot of those guys will be certainties in their respective 11s or at least their squads who are going to be part of different World Cup teams. We're not quite sure yet how much cricket they are going to be allowed to be played or to play in the IPL. So yeah, that's why you need good backups, and that's essentially what a lot of them would be looking at. I mean, a couple of teams you see, there are about 10 or 15 spots available.
Yes.
Punjab and Delhi, if I'm not wrong. That's a lot of spots to fill, and you just don't want to fill them. You still want enough quality that if you do miss a couple of the senior guys, and money won't matter. Even if you have the money, you still need to find the right players, which becomes a little bit tricky when it's a smaller auction.
That's exactly the point that Ajit makes. Now, barring Chennai Super Kings, everyone still has a little bit to play for. But Delhi in particular, who still have 10 slots to fill up, they're looking to revamp completely. You got Punjab, who've got 15 slots. So those are the two big ones. And naturally, therefore, they also have the largest amount of purse balance remaining. Rajasthan have a fair few that they can splurge on. Mumbai, Kolkata, you think they could spoil a party or two when they might only look for a couple of players but spend decently
those
well
are spots that are available, right?
Yes, the available spots. So that's for example for Punjab, they have 11 home and 4 overseas slots available. For Mumbai, it's 6 home and 1 overseas slot. So that's a quick summary for you. And of course, the live blog is already on ESPNcricinfo.com if you want to get up to speed and look at that with a little more leisure. 3:30 is when the auction kicks off. Gaurav, as a result of this unavailability of top tier players, does that open it up for more second tier overseas players, guys that are playing in leagues around the world? Or is it more about Indian players now?
I think the availability issue is a partial problem because they are available for at least a month. Some players still slightly more, so they could help their teams make the playoffs or maybe till the 11th or 12th game. So you need players who can actually play in those current situations later on. So either you go for experienced overseas internationals who are not playing in the current international team, or do you want to go for completely new young players, fearless cricketers? That's something where I think each franchise will differ. So that is they have to take that into account.
I mean, it might have been a great year for you to put your name into the auction, Brad Hodge, because it does look like someone like Brendan McCullum or those that haven't been playing international cricket. Lasith Malinga was a mentor last time for Mumbai. He's coming in bang on as an international captain into this auction. I think you missed a trick here, Hodgie.
You know what? I think you're spot on. I think that if franchises are happy to nominate you late, I think you can still get an option. So if you run into a few of the, if you've got the numbers of a few of the franchise owners, get on board. Tell them I'm still an option and a good spot to pick up. But it'll be an interesting auction as to who the franchises pick up. There are an option to go for some youth and some unknown talent, or go for that older statesman that's been there before and knows what to do.
I can't believe you think I'll have access to franchises more than you would, Hodgie. I do remember a time when you were summoned midway through the UAE MCL just for this auction, and I don't know if you remember, we did an interview where you were completely zoned out, but I can see how much importance the franchisees tend to give these auctions. So give me a bit on that. You've been coach for it. The owners tend to take this very seriously. Do they really consider that a significant part of the IPL is won on auction day, or is that just media frenzy?
No, it's very important. If you get it wrong, the penalty is that you're probably going to get it wrong for 3 years, until you decide about what you're going to do after your squad. So, one of the things, you've got to get that core group of players that are critical for your success, and then build around that. I think most teams have done that pretty successfully, but it still doesn't guarantee success. But there's a lot of work that goes into it beforehand, and some teams more than others, because you have to. I remember at Kings 11 we did a lot of homework to try and make sure that we sort of didn't feel we had the core group of players at the time. So that was one of the things which we wanted to build on, our Indian core group. And it was actually a few of our overseas players that didn't perform that let us down. But it's a great process to try and find the right combinations. That it's such an exciting time, and you're all on edge, and the owners are excited and they want to get it right. There's big money to be spent. They've already spent a lot, and it's critical that they get the decisions right.
Yeah, I mean, dare I say that the one team that struggled to get it right for more than 3 years has been the Delhi Daredevils. They come into this auction as the Delhi Capitals and with new ownership, so keep an eye out on them. And like Brad Hodge has already pointed out, that the owners take this seriously. They tend to build from here. Punjab, as we've mentioned, Hodgie's team from last year, have decided to try and revamp the entire squad just about, with Mike Hesson at the helm. So there might be a few more Kiwis in this team than there were Aussies last year. Hodgie, I'm sure you will be keeping a very close eye on this. But everyone in India tends to keep an eye on what's happening in the auction, even around the world. So let's see if we get a response on when we ask people on the streets what they think of players that could go for money, that are already going for money. Here's a bit more as we build up to the auction.
Brendan McCullum 3.5.
3.
Brendan McCullum is aged. Maybe he might go double the base price, I guess.
2.5.
I'll pay for him as well. 5. I'll go to 5. Virat was 15 something. What is the last time ka?
1.75.
4 crores.
Maybe 9.
1 crore.
Best buyers of auctions, I think Chennai Super Kings, and worst, I guess, Rajasthan.
Chennai has done good, and Mumbai Indians. No, Mumbai Indians also good.
Best players, I think Royal Challengers Bangalore, and worst players, I think Delhi Daredevils.
Mumbai Indians are the best buyers.
Delhi Daredevils is the worst, and CSK is the best.
The best could be Mumbai Indians, and the worst, I'm not sure. Sunrisers was there, yeah.
Sam Curran.
I think Johnny best one.
Sam Curran.
Johnny Bairstow all the way. Most expensive, Johnny Bairstow.
I guess Sam Curran. Unadkat.
I think Johnny.
Johnny Best.
Yuvraj Singh.
Virat.
Jaydev Unadkat.
Virat. Yuvraj Singh.
Yusuf Pathan, no, Yuvraj Singh. No.
That's not a pleasant way to end that little box asking people on the streets who's the most overplayed player in history, and 4 out of 5 for Yuvraj Singh, Ajit Agarkar's long-time friend. But Yuvraj finds himself back in the auction, Ajit, at a base price of 1 crore no less. There are another few senior stalwart. Ishant Sharma has decided to put his name back into the auction. For someone like Yuvraj, does it make sense still for a franchise to invest in it?
I mean, it's a tough one. Last year, Punjab was the only franchise that put their hand up, and that was the second time when his name came up in that auction. So, and they have released him. So you would think it's very hard that any franchise would go, okay, Yuvraj, presents you with a marketing option as well. But essentially, when you're spending that kind of money on such a big player, you want performance. And at the moment, he's been a great player for India in the shorter format. Perhaps hasn't really done as much in the IPL. So it could be a tough auction for him again. Last year, I mean, there was just one team, like I said, which put their hand up. Hopefully someone sees some value in him at the moment. I find it hard that there will be too many takers for Yuvraj.
Yeah. Sitting on that table, only one team was Brad Hodge, in fact. So let me ask you, Hodgie, whether that was your call to take Yuvraj Singh. I mean, I'm sure you won't reveal confidential franchise information, but the point Ajit makes, only one franchise, that was Punjab last year, showed interest in him, and they've now released him. Do you see merit in a big name like Yuvraj Singh even now?
No, probably not. I think that when we selected Yuvraj, it was probably more a name, and management were pretty strong on that. The high performance sort of coaching staff and that were pretty adamant that we were questioning whether Yuvraj was at the ability to actually still beat his best in the IPL, and I probably proved that way. So. Yeah, I hope he does well, and I hope for the best of him because he's a great guy, and you want to see legends like that do well in the IPL. But I think it's a tough road, and I think that looking at the auction, there's a lot of spaces filled with lots of superstar youngsters, and it's going to be hard to push your way into an 11.
All right. Well, let's focus on some of the other players now, and maybe less known. Yuvraj Singh we know everything about, but we're keeping an eye on a couple of players that might go for big bucks, and I'm going to get Gaurav on this because Varun Chakravarthy, the 27-year-old, should we call him an all-rounder? Is he just a spin bowler? Spin bowler that you think can go for good
Mystery
money?
spinner.
Mystery spinner. Tell us what you know about him.
So he has about 7 variations, and
Wow.
he bowled extremely well.
That's what 3 short than Ashwin, 3 less than Ashwin, but yeah.
He bowled pretty well in the TNPL, and it's not just the TNPL. To be fair to him, he came to Vijay Hazare and he was the leading wicket taker at the end of the group stage. So obviously he's done it at a slightly higher level as well. So batsmen have tended to struggle to him, and people have called him. The 3 franchises have called him for trials. And last year he was actually working with KKR, Indian Nets, with their spin coach Carl Crow, and he's worked with Narain, etc. So I don't know, they have battery of spinners anyway, so I'm not sure if he'll go there, but there is a lot of interest because mystery spinners generally we have seen the value. We've seen Mujib, we have seen Rashid, and that's an overseas. This is an Indian mystery spinner, so it helps balance. But we've also seen the other side with KC Kariyappa, who came
Kaushik,
and
KC Kariyappa,
exactly. So it's something they'll just hedge on.
But I'm sure, I mean, once you've done well in domestic cricket, I mean, there are a couple other names, Dubey from Mumbai as well, who I'm sure from speaking to different people, a lot of them would be looking at him. So those sorts of performances, I'm sure, especially in a sort of mini auction, do get rewarded. People do want to take that sort of chance. If he is indeed a really good mystery spinner and an Indian, that just makes your job so much easier, because if you're an overseas spinner, okay, unless you're a Rashid Khan or a Mujib, which who actually fits in the Punjab 11, it's hard to play overseas spinner as a specialist unless he can bat. So it's always a welcome addition if someone can bring that sort of talent to your squad.
It's a fine balance for a franchise, I imagine, Hodgie, because like we said, on the one hand, mystery spinners, they sound great on paper, and then if you don't get them right, then it seems like it just looks all the more foolish at the end of it. There's so much T20 cricket around the world, T10 cricket now. How do you weigh the balance to see whether this guy might be good, but will he be good in the IPL? We've had a case where Mujib was a complete revelation for your team last year. But how does a franchise assess the quality of a mystery spinner, given that previous performances might have been at lesser tournaments?
Well, I think it's just opportunity, isn't it? And I guess the problem that you have to face, one of the things we thought about Mujib was that, he was completely different and he was still a mystery to all the international players around the world and also the Indian domestic players. So now that he's been in the system for 1 year, it'd be great to see how he goes again this year. And that's the step up that any young domestic player will make. That not only are you facing India's best, you're also facing the world's best. So when you come up and you look at an old RCB lineup with Chris Gale, AB de Villiers, Virat Kohli. It's a different prospect of playing a Vijay Hazare or Tamil Nadu Premier League. That's the challenge. That's the mental challenge for these young players. But look, if they've got the skill, the franchise will back them and give them courage and give them an opportunity to try and bring that skill to the forefront. Because any mystery spinner, if they are mystery, they are important and they are a little slice of gold which you need to find.
Very well. Now, have the franchises unearthed some gold? We'll know what he'll go for when his name comes up in the auction. But here's more that you can know now on Varun Chakravarthy.
In T20 cricket, there are mystery spinners. And then there are those whose arrival on the big scene is a mystery. Meet the IPL's newest aspirant, 27-year-old Varun Chakravarthy from Tamil Nadu. Starting off as a keeper batsman in school, Chakravarthy drifted away from the game in college.
I quit cricket when I was studying in college, and after I finished my college, I took up cricket again and I wanted to be a fast bowler. And when I was a fast bowler for the team Crompes, that's when I injured my leg, and after that, when I took 6 months to recover from the injury, and after that I started bowling spin.
It was a big leap, one that would lead Chakravarthy to quit his architecture job and use that know-how in sport.
Architecture is mostly about visualizing. So whenever I bowl, I tend to visualize how the batsman is going to play. So that helps me a lot while bowling. So the love for cricket was always there inside me. I always loved cricket. I felt that I was able to express myself more in cricket. So that triggered me and that made me quit my job when I was 25 and I took up cricket back again.
The man who took 22 wickets in 9 matches of the Vijay Hazare Trophy this year already has had a bowl at the CSK and KKR nets.
Obviously the quality of IPL batsmen is top class, so I learned how to bowl to attacking batsmen and I learned how important line and length is. So I all learned it when I was a net bowler for CSK and KKR.
Chakravarty's big T20 break was the TNPL this year, where he grabbed the attention by choking the batsman with his variations and dot balls.
My idol is Anil Kumble. I look up to him a lot. I always keep on seeing his videos on YouTube. And the variations which I learned was my experience, what I had got from playing lots of tennis ball cricket. So I took lots of time to translate what I had, the skills that I had in tennis ball cricket to cricket ball. So it did take me time. So it was a transition which was very tough for me. So that's where I learned all my skills from.
The architect has laid the foundation and now needs some luck and persistence to make a tall career.
There seems to be a fair bit of confidence in his tone, Varun Chakravarthy, he caught the eye and the interest of a number of franchises. Does he remind you a little bit of Ashwin when he talks about his bowling and his game? Lots of thought into what cricket and bowling means to him, Oji.
Yeah, I like the way that he was sort of analytical about, visualization and so forth. I think that's pretty cool, actually. And for someone that's able to adapt, but, just on the videos, he looked like he had a fair amount of skill. And if he can execute that, then, it's pretty cool. But he does look a little bit like Ashwin. I like that. It's a good prospect.
Okay, now let's talk a little bit about how the auction could kick off. Often we've seen timing is a lot in auctions, Gaurav. How much is that in play here? We've been given the order, the sets that they will be coming out, and the first, I think 50, 60 are the ones that are of significant interest. But from what you've seen of the different sets that they're going to come out from, will timing play a part in this auction?
Not as much as other auctions, because this time you have a lot of players, good players up coming in front, and even the uncapped set has the really promising uncapped players coming between the capped players. So ever since that rule started coming 2 years ago, the uncapped players have started to earn a lot more. So that's going to continue again. I don't think the position matters this time as much as what it was last year, because we had to pick a whole squad.
And as far as performances against India go, there could be no better time to do it than in recent memory, or in fresh in memory when the auction comes along. So the West Indies have just been here. We've seen, typical as it may be, I think that's why the players have jumped to come to India for this. So Shimron Hetmyer impressed, O'Shane Thomas impressed with the ball. There seems to be some talk around Nicholas Pooran as a possible wicket-keeper option.
Shai Hope played well.
Shai Hope played well, but just your thoughts on the West Indians that franchise.
I think Hetmyer clearly looks someone who could easily adapt, and once you've done it in Indian conditions, also makes a difference to how franchisees look at you. IPL is a high pressure tournament, and especially sometimes the price tag does play a role, but if you've done it in Indian conditions against good Indian bowling, that can only go in your favour. And Hetmyer just looked a really dangerous player every time he batted against India, and so did O'Shane Thomas. I mean, you can see those numbers. I mean, that sort of strike rate. I think most franchises would be, whoever has the money or are looking for a overseas spot will be keen on him for sure.
Any franchises that you've earmarked that might have an interest in Hetmyer? Will he have an interest regardless?
A lot of teams, because a lot of teams, especially teams like Rajasthan, need some overseas batsmen. And the fact that he plays spin well, we saw that. That was something which a lot of franchises see. He played spin well in India. So definitely he would garner a lot of interest.
The other thing is you might have the West Indies players throughout the tournament, unlike some of the other balls.
I think it's only New Zealand, West Indies that have confirmed full availability. And the West Indies, well, they anyway decide to listen to their board when they want to. So that's the thing about the Windies
or
players.
They listen to the Indian board.
Yeah, the Indian board. Why not? But this is the other thing that Gaurav and Ajit rightly pointed out, Haji. Playing spin in India, it goes a long way in just reinforcing your credibility as a 2020 IPL batsman. Now, last year, tempted by the timing of the Big Bash League, Darcy shot got a lot of interest. There was Big Bash League players that didn't quite cut it in the IPL itself. Any players from the Australian setup that you're looking at that you think might be of interest for the IPL franchises this time?
Well, you've hit the nail on the head talking about, the ability to play spin. And, the Big Bash is completely different. We saw Darcy Short was a prime example where I think he'll be better off next time. So I still think Darcy will be a decent bet or a good buy. But Hetmyer for sure. Only reason is because the CPL is probably the closest conditions there is to India, where, generally it's fractions slower than normal. And he's a power hitter. He's a superstar player. And he's definitely one that will be up there. The English are also very good players of spin. Johnny Bairstow is not a bad player of spin. Availability is again questionable, but I think Hetmyer will be up above everyone else in terms of what franchises are looking for.
And tell me a bit more about how much scouting plays a role. The auction just getting underway in Jaipur as we speak. But how much do franchises rely on their scouts? Is there a different amount of investment that certain franchises put in comparison to others? I know you could probably speak for just the two franchises that you've been part of administratively, but from whatever you've picked up in your coaching career, how much of it is down to scouts and whatnot?
There's a lot, guys, and look, some of it's actually some can be gut feel as well. Sometimes you just have a gut feeling about one specific player, and the stats might not actually back that up, but most times it's very analytical, and there's a reason why you choose players. So they're all specific to roles you want to find in your team, and the statistics need to back that up. There's probably one or two players in your squad where you can convince the franchise owners or the powers that be that this guy might be worth a little punt. So generally, the scout does a lot of the work for you. Specifically for me, the domestic Indian player, that unknown player that's really important to find. That's the important stage.
Even someone like a Yuvraj Singh, for that matter, who's been playing domestic cricket, I mean, the scouts would be watching. Yes. At the end of the day, if the guy is still performing, is fit enough, people would go for him. So performance does play. I mean, the scouts throughout the course of the year are watching players perform in sort of critical games, whether it was a Vijay Hazare Trophy or Ranji Trophy right now, just form. I mean, going to these auctions, especially when you have few spots left, form plays a huge role.
I know that Mumbai Indians have quite a robust scouting system, Gaurav. I don't know how much you know of the other franchises from all your, I would say, spies and contacts in the other teams, but are there a number, is everyone investing well now in franchises? Are they having scouts to go and watch local level cricket, junior level cricket across the country?
They should if they're not doing it. Most teams are. For the fact, I'm sure all teams are, but to the extent, even that there's depth. You send people to CPL, you send people to Big Bash, you send them to South Africa, and also TNPLs and the KPL. So there is depth, and apart from that, you have your own set of selection trials where you come and they bowl in your nets and you simulate scenarios. I know Mumbai does that. They simulate scenarios. They ask a player to hit 6 runs of one ball and see if he actually does it. So that is a different level. So I think the extent by which they actually scout matters.
Alright, now already underway are the auction proceedings, but the formalities by the office bearers and the BCCI has kicked off. So we'll give you exactly how teams and how players are going the minute they come under the hammer. The first set will be for batsmen, and this is pure batsmen, and there are some names that we think will get some good money. Shimron Hetmeyer is part of that first set. Brendan McCullum is. Cheteshwar Pujara finds himself back. Maybe a quick word on that. Pujara, maybe buoyed by his recent form, has decided, let's give this another crack.
Yeah, I mean, there's no harm in putting your name in. I can't imagine any franchisee going for Pujara, unfortunately, as good as he has been.
Even though he can uppercut Mitchell Starc for 6 now, we know that he can.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be quite enough bounce as there is in Australia to uppercut. But yeah, it's hard to, when you're just looking at a specialist batsman, I mean, he doesn't bowl, he's not the quickest in the field. So apart from his batting, and the batting strike rate tells you everything that you need to know as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd be very surprised if, especially in that first set, people are going to put their hand up for Pujara, unfortunately.
This is generally a breed that's not given a lot of love in the auction, Haji. Overseas opening batsmen, maybe because teams already have their set share of opening bats, but you've seen Martin Guptill go without bids, Alex Hales initially at times go without bids, then he gets some later on, or they get called up as replacements. What's the value for somebody like a Guptill or even a Brendan McCullum, who continues to play all sorts of cricket around the world, but not necessarily at the highest level, and he has now been released by RCB and is a year older?
I think there's value only through experience and what we've seen and what he can do in the past, and also what he can still do in the future. He's got a lot of experience, but the downside for Brendan is that a lot of the teams have retained an overseas opening batter or a high order batter. So if you're picking someone like Brendan, it means you're probably going to have to park him on the bench for a period of time. And is that the type of guy, an older statesman you want on the bench, or do you want him playing and being active? So, take KKR for an example. They've already got Chris Lynn. They've invested a lot of money in Chris Lynn to open the batting. You're not going to bring in Brendan McCullum to do the same thing. And franchisees are actually getting a lot smarter, actually not pitting 2 overseas players together, because they could be vulnerable against spin. So that's another thing where they've got very smart about doing, pitting an overseas player with a local player, so you can take away that spin factor. So that won't play in his part, but having said that, he's a great player and he's got a lot to give.
There's still
RCB have released both De Kock and McCullum. Found it a bit strange, actually, to be honest, to release
I'll
De
tell you
Kock.
one more strange thing they've done. They've traded in Stoinis, who may not even be available.
I don't think they were aware of that. So there's another great RCB story for you. Also are a team that don't necessarily get things right at the auction. RCB, Delhi Daredevils, always the source of the social media humor at the end of an auction. But coming back to the batsman bit, which is going to kick off the auction any minute now, there's also a limited amount of interest for single skilled players, especially overseas, if they aren't fast bowlers, top fast bowlers.
As always, single skilled is a liability unless the player is a superstar and somebody who can play spin, who can take the IPL by storm. And this year, because it could be in South Africa, I may expect a few teams hedging their bets on a few players. Because
on a few South African players?
Or
few overseas players? There will be a little more
who are
interest.
not part of the international setup. Because a guy like Guptill and Hales obviously will go for international duty. Even actually Guptill's available. So Guptill might be a good shot to have, because if it's in South Africa, he might actually come very good.
Okay, and I'm looking at the second set, which involves all-rounders, which will also come after the batsman. Now, Akshar Patel, what is the thinking behind letting Akshar Patel go back? Simply to buy him back? Or are you letting him out saying, all right, let's see, is there a certain value to Akshar Patel in this auction that you won't go beyond?
with respect to Punjab last year, they had Ashwin, they had Mujib. So to play 3 spinners in one team is not it's not possible. I think they managed to do it.
Spinners is the captain.
Yeah, when one spinner is the captain and Mujib is really good. So they managed to play Aksar only after Mujib actually left due to injury. So maybe he was not worth that money. So they want to maybe buy him back. But I see him go to some other team which actually requires an all-rounder or somebody who can bowl good, accurate left-arm spin. And he's been very good in the IPL, so he might go for a lot of money as well.
So we've discussed that New Zealand and West Indies players are confirmed for the entire tournament. Now, as a team building up to the World Cup, every board has the right and they want their squads to assemble earlier, but would you mind the team playing through the course of the IPL or players playing through the course, getting, if they're in good form, whatnot, and carrying that form into the World Cup? Does that make any sense as to why New Zealand would have said, let our players play on?
Maybe they don't have a choice as far as they're concerned. The players have put their foot down and said, we do want to play an entire season. It is always a bit of a risk. I think World Cup comes around every 4 years. You want your best players to try and go to that tournament and try and win that. So a little bit surprised. Sometimes it's a good thing if you go in great form. If you get runs throughout the course of the IPL, it could very well work against you as well. Might pick up an injury, might have torrid form going into that World Cup. But generally, in terms of being fresher for the World Cup, could affect that. I know it's only T20 and 20 over cricket. Sometimes people look after themselves guys are fitter. The tournament spread over 6 weeks. But yeah, if I was one of the international teams, I'd want my first 11 or first 15 to have some sort of rest before that World Cup.
And guys like Glenn Maxwell and Aaron Finch, both Aussies, both focusing, especially Maxwell, focusing on his Ashes and World Cup prospects by not, I think he signed up at Lancashire if I'm not mistaken, so he's missing the IPL. He's an IPL superstar, though he's not really performed, but every time he goes for a lot of money. So like Ajit said, and this is the first time World Cups after the IPL. 2011 and 15, the IPL came after the World Cup. So definitely international commitments first.
Well, we'll have to see now if this trend follows. This is the first World Cup in England since the IPL came into existence. Therefore, the IPL comes in earlier. Might be a while till England get another World Cup if the franchises don't like it. Quick word on one more player before the auction gets underway. Lasith Malinga last season, not a bidder, Haji, for all that T20 reputation and muscle. Not a single bidder at last year's auction. He's had a turnaround year of sorts. He's now back leading the Sri Lankan team. He puts his base price at a pretty high amount. Quite a story.
Well, it's a great story actually, and look, I think that he might be a good punt for a few franchises. And there's a benefit as well for having someone experienced as Lasith Malinga on a bench if you need him. He can give some experience to the youngsters and some knowledge. But also training-wise, in the nets, you just don't get to play someone like that. And Yorkers and slow balls and so forth can be a great training method for your batsmen. So in terms of investment, I think it's a great investment for a franchise to pick this guy up, even if he's not at his best. But he looks to be back at his best, and he looks to be hungry. So he's a talented performer. Him and Yashprit Bumrah easily, and Umar Gul, the 3 best death bowlers that I've ever seen or ever played against.
Okay, the auction is officially underway, and we can confirm that Manoj Tiwari is the first name that's come out of the auctioneer's hat, the new auctioneer's hat. But at 50 lakh, he doesn't seem to be getting much interest as of now. Manoj Tiwari, he's had a share of IPL teams, gone around, played for Haji's team last year. But interest for a Manoj Tiwari?
Yeah, it's a strange case, isn't it? I think he had that one really good season when he played for Pune. And somehow, for some reason, one reason or other, nobody usually goes for him. I'm a little bit surprised. Again, maybe later on in the auction, if they don't have enough spots filled, they might have their priorities on who to sort of start bidding for, and he's not at the top of the list.
He's gone unsold, Manoj Tiwari. So, like we said, for this round, could very well come back later on.
Because his skill set, Manoj Tiwari's skill set is actually needed by a couple of teams. Bangalore could do well with Manoj Tiwari in the middle order. But yeah, like Ajit said, they will mostly bid for him much later because they need to keep the money.
If I remember correctly, was it for your team, Haji, that Manoj Tiwari was bowling some of those slingy Under Armours that you probably had him practice in the nets?
I'm not sure what they were, but I said to Ashwin, if I see that ever in the IPL, you're sacked. I don't want to see it at all. So, look, he had a method, but I didn't like the method at all. But he's a good guy, good character, pretty good player. I'm surprised that he hasn't got an opportunity there.
Now, Manoj Tiwari as of now remains unsold. Cheteshwar Pujara being up for a bid. Is there's actually no real reason why a franchise would suddenly want to pick up Pujara? It doesn't even quite pull the brand value like some of the others do, Ajit, and he's gone unsold.
And single skill set, you know. I mean, like I said before, not even in the field as well. He's not the quickest, so doesn't really offer you anything in T20 cricket. Unfortunately,
in a strange way, it might be a good thing.
In Test cricket.
There's a good chance if a team picked him, he wouldn't have played much. Would have been part of the squad. This might be a good thing. He can go back and play county cricket. Or
the fact that they've not picked Manoj Tiwari, highly unlikely they're going to pick Pujara.
And teams have, like Haji said earlier, teams have become extremely smart. A lot of teams are aware of what's happening, who are the people who are good, who is bad, and they know how the auction works. They've learned from their past mistakes, except for a couple of teams.
That's what I was going to say. When you say teams, you assume all 8 teams, and then you've got you still have Delhi that come around and give us something to talk about.
They've got Shikhar Dhawan back.
Now I'm very intrigued by that one. Shikhar Dhawan back at this point, traded from the Sunrisers Hyderabad for 3 players. That might be very handy. Was that a deal that the Sunrisers would be happier with, or Delhi?
I think the Sunrisers will be happy. I mean, they already had a squad with David Warner coming back as well, even if it's for a brief period in the IPL. I think they won't really miss. I mean, Shikhar Dhawan's been good for them, but I don't think they'll really miss. And they get 3 players who are experienced Indian players. So, no, I think a better deal for Sunrisers in my opinion.
Alex Hales remains unsold at 1.5 crore. What about how players tend to price their base price, Haji? Is that, I mean, at 1.5 crore, it's a long shot that you're going to be taken if you're an Alex Hales, plus the availability issue. Is there just an attitude by some players that this is how much I want to play? It's not about playing in the IPL, but that's my value, even if it's perceived to be a little over the top.
Yeah, it can be that, but also for the English, they actually it's within their cricket season right now. So if Alex Hales comes over and plays in the IPL, he has to pay back a portion of his contract who he plays for, I think, for Nottingham. So for him, it's quite difficult to go at a low price because you'll end up actually losing money, and you don't want that. That's why the English seem to set their bar a lot higher than the others, and that's why.
All right, now Hanuma Vihari has actually picked up the first bid of this year's auction. That's nice to see on a day where he looked okay in the Perth Test, albeit not for too many runs. But he's done his bit in this Test match with the ball and bat. And in his T20 career, he's had his share. 64 innings, has played for the Sunrisers before and found his way out of the team after that. What's the interest in Vihari?
Not surprising. Obviously a better player, more experienced now. Not surprised that people are, and again, can bowl a little bit for you as well.
It's the second skill.
Makes a huge difference, and just has looked quite composed in this Test match on quite a tough pitch against a really good attack. So, I'm sure there'll be a couple of people wanting him in their squad.
Yeah, we've got this interest from Delhi Capitals, from Mumbai as well, and I think the bid has crossed a crore now. So that's nearly a crore in 20. Would you say that that's something you expected for Hanuma Vihari?
Like Ajit said, he's bowling and he's just got a few wickets as well in the Test match. And I guess they see something in him.
Seems a natural stroke maker. So it's not like his game is built around someone like a Pujara. We know what he or his batting is built around. So, I mean, seems like a player who can adjust to this format as well and has played enough. I mean, 64 innings is a fair sample size.
Beyond the Test, anything that you've seen on him in his limited overs recent form?
Not really. The other thing which just came to my mind is if it's in...
No, I would have been very surprised if people were not desperate to have him.
This interest would have been regardless of the Test match, you're saying?
I think, he played a Test match in England as well. And very surprised to see the kind of numbers that he has in his career in first class cricket. So, again, with experience, you can see he's gotten better. And having tasted some success in the IPL, or at least played in the IPL, you've got that experience as well. So, and an Indian player again makes a huge difference. An established sort of Indian, well, not international yet, but quite a experienced first class player. So, not surprised.
And if you see Delhi, so Delhi are one team which is bidding, and they have a very, very core Indian top 5, top 6. I think they've decided that a lot of people may not be available, and let's put all our money on Indian. So I think that's if you see their lineup, it has only Indians except for Colin Munro.
Now that means another Indian joins them because the Delhi Capitals, after rechristening their name from the Delhi Daredevils, have picked up their first player, Hanuma Vihari, at 2 crore. Now, Haji, there are a lot of Indian players already in that team. They've got another Indian batsman. 2 crore for Hanuma Vihari from whatever you've seen of him, and I'm sure you have discussed this name last year too. Does that seem a fair deal?
Yeah, he looks like a pretty good player, doesn't he? He's just got into the Indian side, and I think that most teams are trying to get hold of quality Indian players, and he looks a really good quality player. So he can only get better, and I think that being part of an IPL franchise will only build his character, and I think he looks a pretty organised player. So you got to spend your money somewhere, and it looks like a pretty good player, I reckon.
Okay, well done to Hanuma Vihari.
Yeah,
Happy that his price has gone more than double. Yeah, I'm just looking at the Delhi team now as a result. Prithvi Shaw, Manjot Kalra, Rishabh Pant, Shreyas Iyer, Shikhar Dhawan.
Yep.
You got Colin Munro who's a top order bat, right? Who will come in up top, and you've got Vihari. So Vihari would play what, a middle order role? Is he suited for a T20 middle order role?
That's what I think. They would play him at 3 or 4, and maybe not even 3.
They've got about 6 guys who can play at 3 and 4.
Yeah.
But it's a strange one, isn't it? If you look at it, I would have understood him going to a lot of franchises, but Delhi, Ajit?
Like Haji said, I don't. It's an Indian player at the end of the day that you're investing in. He's unlikely to be part of the
Sorry,
World
we'll
Cup
add Shikhar
squad
Dhawan
either.
to that list, so make sure you see Shikhar Dhawan's name alongside the others, as also Rishabh Pant's. Yes, carry on, Ajit.
Yeah, so you'd rather have another Indian player who's sort of getting better every time he's playing, and at the moment with the Indian team, so is doing some things right. The top 6 you could then easily play the likes of Rabada or Chris Morris is an all-rounder. There's a Trent Bolt that they've got.
Yeah.
So you can then afford to play an overseas attack if you have a strong enough Indian batting lineup. And all these guys have been successful in India. So I think not a bad buy for Delhi.
And the other thing, like Ajit said, if they have such a core Indian top order, they'll focus a lot of money on bowlers. And something which Delhi would do is to improve their bowling strength and make sure that the bowlers get better, because we've seen good bowling teams do very well in the IPL.
Yes.
So I see that trend also happening across all teams trying to bolster their bowling now.
Very quickly in that chat we were having on Hanuma Vihari, Shimran Hetmeyer's name has come up and he's already gone at 3 times his base price. The bidding is still going, and Rajasthan Royals are interested, Punjab are interested. So let's just have a chat on Hetmeyer. What would be the use of Hetmeyer? Would he fit in as a number 3, a top order sort of player to really set the tone? Is he more of the Andre Russell, Kyron Pollard make that you keep him for the flurry at the end? Is he better than one of those players that
Again, it depends on which team he goes to. You can use him in. We saw he was really explosive at the top of the order when he batted at number 3 or 4. Came in and he just, blasted the Indian attack and good spin bowling at that point, and he got after them, the likes of Chahal and Kuldeep. So that sort of ability, I don't think too many franchises are going to sort of miss out on. So you can see it's not a surprise.
Yeah.
Guy, the timing's right. He's
course.
just come to India, smashed the Indian bowling. Proper Indian bowling
seems
around.
like the IPL character, right? Coloured hair, and would contribute.
No, and
to
just a quality player. I mean,
let's not take that out. Yeah.
And a good striker of the ball, not a slogger. So it always helps a top order batsman.
Haji, I'm always intrigued when the whispering starts in the middle of the bidding on the auction table, and I'm always wondering what exactly, what's the gist of what these guys are telling each other. Now you've got 2 franchises who've taken the bid up to 2 crore. I've seen often in these sort of players, suddenly a 3rd franchise or a 4th franchise will jump in just as one pulls out. Tell me a bit about the chat that goes on the auction table for a player that you know is going to get interest of a significant amount from a number of franchises.
Well, I'll be honest, a lot of it was mumble when I was there. A lot of it was spoken in Hindi, and I couldn't understand a word that was being said. But most times it's going to sort of how much that player's worth and how much they were trying to spend, or whether they just want to slow the bidding down a little bit, or, it's more about putting pressure on the other franchise about how much money they particularly want to spend on that player. So there's also times when franchises put, monetary values on a player just to push other franchises out of the running. So that could be a tactic as well. It's generally a lot of chit chat. There's a lot of not confusion, but there's a few different heads trying to get together because it's a spur of the moment thing, and they're trying to make the right decision. But some can be bluff, some can be spot on.
Very well. Now, while Haji attends to that lovely dog of his in the background, I'll confirm that Shimran Hetmeyer's rate has gone up to over 3 crore, and as the Rajasthan Royals have pulled out, Sunrisers Hyderabad have jumped in. So Hetmeyer, that would make for a very strong batting unit with Kane Williamson there, David Warner set to return, And Shimron Hetmyer added to that if Sunrisers are to get him.
So Hetmyer can keep, though he's not a
Specialist
keeper, he can keep. And the only reason Sunrisers, because otherwise Sunrisers can't fit him in the 11. If you actually see, they have Shakib, they have Rashid, they have Warner, they have Williamson, and they have Billy Stanley. So the only reason the way I see Hetmyer actually fitting in that 11 is as a replacement for Warner and as a keeper. So maybe if they have plans of making him improve his keeping and keep, then it's a good buy for them.
It's already on to 4
They've also
crore.
let Shikhar Dhawan go.
Yeah.
So there is
room at the top of the order.
Yeah,
but you think that if Warner comes back, then Warner Williamson could become the overseas. It's hard to leave Williamson out after the sort of IPL
season
he's
that
had.
he's had. But who
And
knows?
he's available.
Who knows? If
That's
there
the
is a
kind
more explosive play option in Hetmyer, franchises do take that option in any given year. I mean, I'd be shocked if they leave Williamson out after the way he's played. But you never know who's available as the season goes on.
From what I'm sensing is that the Sunrisers have managed to push Kings 11 out of the bid at 4.2 crores. So it is very much still Hetmyer's. It's a lovely time to be Shimron Hetmyer, who's already gone 8 times his base price. David Warner, if we're talking of David Warner, Haji, this could be an interesting one. The return of Warner and Steve Smith, both retained by their respective franchises. Would there have been a call made by Tom Moody or the Sunrisers just having a word about availability for the IPL? Doesn't seem to be an issue. From whatever you're hearing, is he likely to be part of the World Cup plan straight away? What's the kind of rehabilitation plan that you think they could have?
Well, I think he'll be a part of the World Cup plans. The thing is, he's not allowed to join or be part of any Australian sort of build-up to that phase. So for him to actually be playing cricket and being part of the IPL, I think is a real good thing. I think in terms of the Sunrisers pushing hard for Hetmyer, they're also, I think, just not thinking about just this year. I'm even thinking past this year and about the age of Hetmyer as a young kid, and you can possibly have this guy for a long period of time. So, that sort of management is really important as well. But David Warner, I think he'll be busting his chops to get out there and play cricket. And it's an interesting balance, but I think they're just trying to find someone who can, get that firepower that Davey possesses. And if he doesn't fire, or he's not ready, or he does get dragged out of the tournament, they've got someone there to back him up.
Well, as it turns out, Shimron Hetmyer has been stolen from that Sunrisers bid by the Royal Challengers Bangalore. So that sets up a very, very appetizing prospect of Shimron Hetmyer batting at the Chinnaswamy alongside Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers.
So no bowlers again. Huh?
No bowlers. they continue to go for their batters, do the RCB. They love their batters. At 4.2 crore, first reaction, Ajit, Hetmyer to RCB.
I mean, it's a good buy considering they've let McCallum and De Kock both go.
Yeah.
But again, it's an overseas player. I mean, they already have Coulton Isle might be available this year, who they missed, I think, last year. They would like ideally to play him as an all-rounder. De Villiers, Stoinis may be not available throughout the season, so they are possibly Bank and the Grandam did well for them. So I think the one thing that they've been missing has been they've been an Indian batter. I'm sure they'll look at it at some stage. But good buy at the top of the order, good pitch at Bengaluru. And not a bad price either.
Big news that no takers for Brendan McCullum, who's gone unsold. But again, we'll hold on and see if he finds a bidder by the end of the auction. But coming back to Hetmyer to Bangalore, how does that affect the makeup of that team for you, Gaurav?
They actually have a good Indian bowling contingent. So, though other teams needed Hetmyer, I think because again, teams don't want to bid too high for the particular player based on just one series. Obviously, Kohli has been very impressed with Hetmyer during that ODI series, so it must have been a strong message that by him, whatever happened. So the RCB usually go for those kind of bids. They strongly listen to a few people and they go all out for them. But ABD, Kohli, Hetmyer, that's a pretty solid batting.
But it's again like they've always had. It's just top heavy.
Well, let's see.
Hopefully, all three of them keep scoring runs.
If they invest in bowlers, let's hope Bangalore for a change try for some bowlers this time. Otherwise, there's a word you can have with Ashish Nehra, Ajit, a little later. Haji, no takers for Brendan McCullum. Didn't have takers in the PSL. Now unsold in the IPL. Does that come as a shock to you?
Well, it's probably just performances, and look, maybe the franchises will go through the process, have a look, and they might go back to someone like Brendan. Same thing happened to Chris Gale last year, and Yuvraj Singh, I think. So, that might happen to Brendan, but obviously the franchise have got other priorities. As I said, a lot of the top orders are taken up by international players already. So, if you're going to pick someone that's probably going to be, on the bench or unlikely to play. So, he might come back and someone might see some value in his experience.
So only 2 players from that first set getting a bid. Shimran Hetmyer, who's gone to the RCB, and Hanuma Vihari, who the Delhi Capitals have picked up as their first signing or their first pickup from this auction. We move to the second set. It's a player that RCB got rid of in the form of Chris Wokes, and now this again opens another debate, Gaurav, of the availability of the English players and which ones are a part of the ODI setup. As of now, someone like Sam Curran isn't, but if he happens to get part of that England setup, then his availability becomes an issue. How do franchises approach the English players? Tough one, isn't it?
I think the only English player who might actually get a lot of interest is maybe Johnny Bairstow, and like you said, Sam Curran, if they feel that he's not in the setup. And Sam Curran, he performed only in the test format. His T20 record is not very great. So I don't see many bids for English players purely because of the availability. But this year, surprisingly, a lot of T20 blast players in the list, more than what it is usually. So that is something maybe franchises are seeing. They're following the blast now and hoping that those guys can actually make a difference.
Chris Wokes at 2 crore has gone unsold, and as Carlos Brathwaite's name pops up, Haji, I must give you the chance to dig into some of the Poms now, because they seem to seriously put a high price on themselves, and year after year they go unsold, the English players.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned before, they always seem to put a high price for 2 reasons. Maybe they just think that they're up there, and the other thing is that the counties take a slice out of their action and they lose a portion of their salary. So they have to cover that. So they can't roll in at 20 or 30 lakh and be a speculative player, because they'll end up probably losing 50 to 60,000 pounds on their contract. So it's one of them catch-22 phases where you want to be in, but you've got to want to cover your costs or loss. So yeah, I would have thought that if Chris Wokes was a 1 crore player, you definitely would have picked him up for that sort of money instead of 2.
We also know that there is some sort of deal with the ECB and the BCCI of players having to give a certain portion of their bid or what they go for to the board as part of the program that allowed for English players to be part of this. So yes, Haji making it clear why sometimes you tend to see English players at higher rates than perhaps some of the others. Availability once again playing a part in Carlos Brathwaite from the West Indies, his bid which is ongoing now, given that 2 or 3 franchises are showing an interest. He's been on the bench for a year, maybe more, with the Sunrisers not finding room. What would make a franchise interested in Carlos Brathwaite? Just availability?
Yeah, and I mean his record, look at that batting strike rate, those numbers are really good.
But there seems to be an obvious spin.
Yeah, I struggle
weakness
against spin, particularly leg spin. But I don't think that's going to stop bowls as well.
And he's a West Indies captain, so T20I captain, so maybe that also adds some kind of dimension to the team.
But that's how Darren Sammy, I think, played for about 7 years in the IPL. So I can see what you're trying to say.
It also depends on what a franchise is looking for. Maybe a lower order batsman who can, give them that balance. Plus an all-rounder who, maybe a 5th, 6th bowler if you need one bowler, few overs for you. We'll wait and see who's bidding for him. We'll probably know a bit more of what they're looking at.
Kolkata has bid for Brathwaite. They tend to favour spinners at that ground, create pitches
it's
that Chawla and Narayan
it's changed
enjoy.
The pitch. It is a bit more, a bit spicier now, the pitch, where it does help some seam bowling.
And he won't be playing some of the better spinners. They'll be in his team then, because you have Chawla in that team, you've got Kuldeep in that team, you've got Narayan in that team, and you've got Kings 11 also interested in Carlos Brathwaite. To be fair, given they have to build an entire squad.
Yeah, and Kings 11 lost obviously Stoinis, and they need that finisher. That was something they lacked last year. They had a lot of games which they came close, but it was all dependent on KL Rahul. So maybe they will want an overseas finisher who can just come and hit sixes. And I think Brathwaite would fit well into Kings 11 Punjab and also Kolkata, because Russell, you never know what you get from him in terms of injury. Yeah. So they might look Brathwaite as maybe a replacement for
both quite small squads actually at the moment.
Yes. Kings 11. Now let's go back to that. Brathwaite of interest for the Kings 11. Haji, David Miller is someone that has been retained. I don't know how you felt about Miller last year. He was again considered to be one of the perennial underachievers in the IPL. They need a finisher in spite of having someone like David Miller on that team.
David, if you rip out his numbers and go through his stats, they're actually pretty good, and even against spin, his numbers are pretty good. But we sort of struggled. We had a couple of hit and misses last year with our overseas players. Majib was really good, AJ Ty, but Stoinis was up and down. Aaron Finch was well below par. and Chris Gale was obviously great for a few games. So I think they're just certainly going for that power. I'm not sure whether they're playing at Mohali or whether they're back at indoor this year, but I know that we really struggled to make that transition from Mohali to indoor. So maybe Carlos Brathwaite, if they do play it indoor, is a good chance to get a few over the rope, because it's about 28 metres to hit a six there.
Well, I believe that even that call is something that the owners have to take. They have some sort of interest with indoor, and therefore they play 2 grounds. Can't help the team.
It's been an obvious problem, I'm guessing, for the owners to sell a lot of tickets in Mohali. Indoor, it's a newer ground. Maybe a lot more people do turn up there. So that is one of the things that the franchises do look for. I mean, it is what they sort of bank on throughout the course of the season. 7 home games. So it is important that you do fill the stadiums.
It's what paid Brad Hodges $1 million salary as head coach last year. So I'm sure he can't complain too much. Am I close to the figure, Hodgie?
By about 500, then divided by 50, and you get a chance, I reckon.
Well, someone who's enjoying the money that's going towards his name is Carlos Brathwaite, who's exceeded the 4 crore mark, and I think it's even going to nearly 4.5 crore now. Well, he's gone beyond Hetmeyer? Is that a surprise, Mr. Sundaraman?
Definitely a huge surprise, considering his bowling. He's not shown much with his bowling prowess. But yeah, I guess that's what these kind of mini auctions demand. You don't have, they're more safe to go for people who are available and guys who have actually proven their capabilities sometimes, at least under pressure situations. He has done it. So
I mean, the 2 franchises that looks like that are bidding are KKR and Kings 11. Both have 3 overseas guys for KKR that I can see on this list,
and 4 for Kings 11.
And 4 for Kings 11, which includes a Chris Gale, who you don't quite know what sort of fitness and form he's likely to bring as well. So clear sort of voids in both those teams.
And the other thing is, one thing we failed to talk about is the actual supply. Who are the other foreign all-rounders who are actually available? You have Corey Anderson, you have James Neesham, you have Moses Henriques, and you have Chris Jordan. These are the kind of people you're competing against. So out of which Henriques is, I think, past his prime. Chris Jordan has maybe not available, and you have Corey Anderson and James Neesham. Corey Anderson had a bad IPL, so all these things also play a role. So who is Brathwaite actually competing against? So
also possibly pushing Kings 11 to spend more money. They've got a lot of money with them. KKR don't need a lot of players. Well, I mean, they have a smallish squad, but they managed with it last year. But with another addition or 2, they might still be okay. Kings 11 desperately need players, so maybe trying to push the price up as well.
Yeah, I mean, they've only got a 13-man squad, but that was the story of KKR last year, that they were happy with the thin squad so long as they had a steady 11, and that seems to be the drill that they might repeat with. But that point, Gaurav, makes an interesting one, Haji, depending on the options that are available, and Carlos Brathwaite therefore might be looked at as a premium player, given the rest of the all-rounders aren't quite there.
No, it's spot on actually. It's about the quality. You can buy as many as you like, but if the quality's not great, then you're up against it. I think that I always thought Carlos would go for a few dollars. I didn't think he'd go for that much, but he bats and bowls. He's good in the field. He can tonk it over the fence. There's a lot to like about Carlos Brathwaite.
It's the Eden Gardens fence that he's going to go have to tonk it over, and he'll be delighted that Chawla, Narayan and Kuldeep will not be bowling to him in the IPL. It's only in the nets. 5 crore for Carlos Brathwaite. Quick reaction. Good, understandable or overpaid?
Understandable considering the options.
Okay, Ajit.
Yeah, I think so. I love the ground as well. Won West Indies a World Cup, T20 World Cup. So, no, I think it'll only strengthen KKR.
So return to the Eden Gardens then for Carlos Brathwaite for a significant portion of his IPL time. He's going to spend his season with the Kolkata Knight Riders. So Carlos Brathwaite getting a significant bid. So there may be some surprises. We're just trying to understand how the franchises are approaching this auction as well. And let's just go back to the theory for KKR. Were you one that was skeptical of KKR because of the thin squad they had last year, even though they had a decent 11? And is that something you'd like to address now going into this one, Ajit?
Yeah, I thought so. I mean, even now you feel a couple of injuries to key players and they could really struggle. I mean,
and Chris Lynn is also amongst those who are injury prone.
So is Andre Russell. I mean, Andre Russell missed a few games last year, I think, if I'm not wrong, with a hamstring.
They struggled with their quicks. Nagarkoti got picked up an injury.
Yeah, so you are risking it a little bit, but that's the way they've decided to go. I mean, they've spent a lot of money on the likes of Dinesh Karthik. I think Piyush Chawla, I think they've retained or they brought him by Uttappa. So they had spent a lot of money. I mean, even now, they had 15 crores in spite of having such a smallish squad, only 15 crores left, which they've spent 5 crores out of it on Brathwaite. So small squad, but at least quite a strong first 11, 12 maybe.
That's what it looks like right now. So you're assuming if everyone's fit, that may look like a decent team. But you know Chris Lynn's history with injuries. Is he going to be part of Australia's World Cup plans? That's the other question that they'll have to answer with time. Kamlesh Nagarkoti was impressive as an under-19 quick, missed a large part of last year's IPL. They had some reinforcement in the likes of Rinku Singh, Nitish Rana, Prasidh Krishna bowled well. But would you be approaching Kolkata?
So just one, generally, I mean, looks quite balanced, that squad. Whether it's batting, spin or your seam bowling. I mean, Andre Russell's the quickest guy, Nagarkoti and Mavi, both really promising, who started the season quite well. So, yeah, there's no sort of voids in that squad.
No, and they did surprise us last time and they made the playoffs. The thing about KKR, like Ajit rightly pointed, they have very costly players, so the size of their squad is a lot smaller. I think they're not going to go for 25 players. Obviously, the bare minimum is 18. They would make sure they have that 18. Last year, the problem I think I had with KKR, the way they were going, they didn't have enough overseas backups.
Yeah.
So this year, they should look to take 8 proper overseas backups, 4 replacements for the 4 really strong performers.
Playing a Jevon Sales
and a Cameron Delport. So if they cover up that, their Indian strength is pretty good. If Nagarkoti comes back, I think they have sorted with the Indian side.
Very well. Chris Jordan has gone unsold, so the England players not quite attracting the bids, and understandably so. Gurkirat Singh has gone to RCB for 50 lakh, his base price. So another batsman for RCB as they continue to pile up.
Yeah, I think they need Indian sort of middle order players. I think that's the one weakness you saw in RCB last time. A guy who's played IPL before has been, he's an experienced first-class player as well. So, not surprised.
And if you have followed us from the start of the show, where we said we will be surprised if Yuvraj Singh gets a bid, and he's not got a bid, has the Indian stalwart. So, no takers for that base price for 1 crore. Haji, is he the kind of player you might still want to be interested in towards the end of the day? See what you've got in the purse and see if we can bring a little something from a marketing or other perspective, or is this just a good cricketing call where you'd now think Yuvraj is behind, his days are behind him?
No, it's a good cricketing call actually, because one of the things which we struggled with last year is to understand or explain to the owners that marketing is yes, but Yuvraj Singh is still a professional cricket player and he wants to play cricket. So if you go and explain to him that you're there for marketing, he's not particularly going to be rapt about that. He's going to want to play in the IPL. So that's what you are. You're a professional cricketer, you want to play. So that marketing tool doesn't really become apparent, because then, you're sitting on the bench and, such a legend like that wants to be in the action. So that's where it's a tricky one. I think it's a good cricket call. I think that, there's guys out there, there's younger kids out there that can actually, get around the field, hustle around. They're happy to be on the bench if need be, and can certainly be just as destructive as Yuvraj at this age.
Well, after Yuvraj Singh in this set, which contains all-rounders, Moses Henriques seems to have got a bid, played formally for the Sunrisers Hyderabad. So there you've got Henriques, the Aussie all-rounder, and again there seems to be interest in Henriques, which comes back to Gaurav's point that there are limited options as overseas all-rounders, and therefore
he's played for them as well before. Sometimes it's just familiarity with what a person can do for your team. But all-rounders, you want to have options, guys who can bat and bowl. So and he does fill that.
So Punjab.
Henriques gone to Punjab.
Punjab, so he's gone to Punjab, Moses Henriques. So we're just confirming for his base price of 1 crore, as Punjab also get Akshar Patel's name into the auction now. Let's see if they're interested in the Indian all-rounder. But 1 crore, Moses Henriques to Punjab. Gaurav?
I was just surprised. I was just looking up. He's just 31. It just feels like he's been around for such a long time. And just due to lack of options, they got him at his base price, and they traded Stoinis. So they would look at Henriques to perform a similar role like what Stoinis did.
And likely to be available for the entire season. Stoinis won't be. So
there's that.
They do need players.
And they've sent Stoinis conveniently to RCB. So
and Henriques did pretty well for Sunrisers with Warner. I remember him coming at number 3.
In the year that they won, they actually used him well, up and down. But I don't think, again, he was someone that did lose his place in following years. So you can see the treatment of a player with his own franchise, but he's going to the Kings 11 now. He's been around a little, Moses Hendricks. Akshar Patel's bid is fast crossing $1.5 crore. And now what do you make of Akshar Patel? He gets limited game time with India, big money retention last year. Into the auction this year, does he still pull enough to get a bid?
Yeah, I think so, because he can do a job. I mean, Kings 11 probably released him because one, there's a lot of money that they, if I'm not wrong, there was money spent when they bought him. And you already have a Ashwin and a Mujib. Ashwin, if he's leading the team, is likely to play. How many times are you going to play 3 spinners? Unless it's a ranked turner or as the season goes along, is possibly the case. But it'd be interesting to see which teams are actually bidding. But he's an experienced player and does a job in T20 cricket.
Haji, you tell us a bit more on Akshar Patel. You were part of that think tank that, I don't know if you were part of the think tank that chose to retain him. But where do you see the value of Akshar Patel monetarily if you were a franchise looking at how much you would want to spend for him? His bid already crossing 2 crore now.
Well, for us, he was a 3-dimensional player, which is very rare in the Indian market. There was only Krunal Pandya or Ravindra Jadeja that could do that in our minds. And, they're already taken, we knew Mumbai, Krunal was going to go to Mumbai and Ravindra was retained by Chennai. So we thought that he was pretty much the only option where you can bat, bowl and field. And remember, he was the only player that we sort of retained. So we were trying to build our squad around him. But things changed over the course of the year where, Mujib stepped up and we didn't think Mujib would be as good as he was. Ashwin was also there. The dynamic can change and it can change during the auction as well about what you specifically want for a player. But Akshar was pretty good for us. It didn't help him when we moved to indoor. I think he was really good at the bigger ground in Mohali. And then when we made that change, I think that he also got injured as well. So he struggled to sort of come back and find his big form. But he can certainly bat. If he can get his attitude right, he can be a tremendous IPL player.
4.2 crore the bid for Akshar Patel as it stands. Punjab, his previous franchise, interested in him, and I think the interest is also coming from Delhi.
And Delhi would actually need a player because they gave out Shahbaz Nadeem, so they don't have a left-arm spinner. That's the only skill set among spinners. They have Jayant Yadav, they have Amit Mishra, they have Rahul Tewatia. So they don't have a left-arm spinner and they don't have that Indian all-rounder. So it's very evident.
They let go of Vijay Shankar too, could have done an all-rounder's role.
So it's very evident what Delhi's strategy is from they're going to go with top 7 Indian players and look for unleashing a very, very good bowling attack.
5 crore, so that's good money for Akshar Patel again.
Again, an experienced Indian international, can contribute to the bat as well. So, and spin bowler. If the tournament does happen in India as it progresses, spinners have a bigger role to play. And he's done well in T20 cricket. It's just that there were 2 other spinners who were playing in that Kings 11 as well, where he, found tough to find a spot. But otherwise, like I said, an experienced Indian international is part of the Indian setup as well at the moment.
5 crore then, Akshar Patel, the joint highest bid for the day with Carlos Brathwaite. But he goes to the Delhi Daredevils, Delhi Capitals. You got to get used to saying that. Delhi Capitals is where Akshar Patel is headed. So he's headed to the Kotla to bowl, alongside the likes of Sandeep Lamichhane as far as the spin department goes. Just thoughts on that, Delhi, and how that looks, Akshar Patel in that Delhi team, as we'll bring it up for you in just a minute.
It looks very good now with a very, very core and hardcore Indian top 7. Now you can actually call that with Hanuma Vihari also. They don't need to play a overseas batsman, and they can stack their team with a lot of bowlers. If you see, they have Rabada, they have Sandeep Lamichhane, they have Trent Bolt, they have Chris Morris. So that's 3 overseas bowlers, and that not many teams have that luxury to have 3 overseas bowlers because they have a core Indian strength. They can afford to do that.
Yeah, and so 7 crore spent by Delhi, which gives them still 18 crore and a significant amount of their squad already done. I mean, they've got a decently sized squad now. They still have plenty of available slots, 8 slots, so they could play a little spoil sport with the money that they have in reserve. So Akshar Patel gets a good bid at 5 crore. So there you have Akshar at the Kotla for the Daredevils. What else do we have for you? Naman Oja has no takers, which is a bit of a surprise to me, given we thought there might be some interest in wicket keepers. Sunrisers letting go of Riddhiman Saha. Are you surprised with Naman Oja not getting an interest?
Not really. He's not been in the setup for most teams over the last 2-3 seasons. He had one good season very long back for Rajasthan, but after that he's really not done well. And again, you can always buy him back later at the same base price. So they would look to go for overseas keepers first, then Saha, and then maybe these guys.
Okay, so the wicket keepers are the next set. So we've had Naman Oja to kick things off. Then Ben McDermott from Australia. I believe the son of Craig. Is that, if I'm getting that right? Either the son or the nephew of Craig. You can maybe confirm that Ben McDermott, Haji, and what do we know about him?
Yeah, he's a pretty good player actually. He is the son of Craig, and he's just come in. He's a pretty good handy slogger actually. He's a pretty small kid. He can actually muscle the ball over the fence. He got a brilliant 100 for Hobart Hurricanes against the Renegades at Marvel Stadium last year. Dynamic package. He only just recently made his debut for Australia in T20. Didn't really set the world on fire against India. Played a rash shot against Krunal Pandya and probably threw his wicket away. But look, there might be someone, there might be a future for him. But just going back to Axar Patel, what's interesting is that Kings 11 Punjab have basically retained him the same money, still bid him up to 5 crore to Delhi. So that's an interesting one.
Okay, but they've not got him eventually, so that would have been even more interesting if they got him back for that money. But he's going to Delhi. Johnny Bairstow's popped up in the auction now at 1.5 crore. And I don't know where Johnny Bairstow stands in England's World Cup plans, but again, it's a punt to try him in case he gets part of the English plans and then he's called in. He's already got a bid and he's got an opening bid.
Yeah, I mean, multi-skill player again, wicket keeper makes a huge difference. I think there are a couple of teams who are looking for wicket keeper, can bat at different positions in the batting as well. So yeah, not surprised that he's don't quite know what his status within the England team is as regards to the World Cup as well.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't make that squad, he could end up being available for the entire IPL as well.
Sunrisers definitely need a wicket keeper. They're the ones
And
that
the
have made
opening
the
wicket keeper
bid.
and opening batsman, both in one. That's the exact skill set Sunrisers need, with Johnny Bairstow fits.
But why do they need an opening bat if they can't? You're not seeing room for Williamson and Warner, or you're saying after Warner goes?
Yeah, if Warner is not going to be available for 4 weeks, so and they don't have a wicket keeper, so they would ideally want a wicket keeper batsman at the top so that they can play additionally. They have 3 Indians who they've got from Delhi. Otherwise, they can't play all these.
That's assuming that Bairstow is available throughout.
Bairstow is not available throughout. So Bairstow leaves about April 25th.
Right.
After the first 4 weeks, and Warner is not available for the first 3 weeks. So they would play. They'll start off with Bairstow and then finish with Warner.
Okay, so the thing with Warner is not that he will leave early. He would be available only for the second bit.
He leaves the first 2 weeks and he's not available in the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
Warner.
All right. So there you have it. So then that's the interest that's shown by Sunrisers for Johnny Bairstow. But I believe Punjab have jumped in there. Who do they have as their keeping options?
They have only KL Rahul, and they also don't have an opener. They have only Chris Gale, so they would start off with Bairstow and finish with Gale.
Okay, that way. So yeah, you've got all. That's why we have you, Gaurav Sundararaman. KL Rahul as the keeper. Would you be tempted for that prospect again? KL Rahul as keeper.
I mean, if it helps the balance, why not? But if you can get someone like a Bairstow who is a keeper, then obviously not. I mean, then Rahul can be in the field. But yeah, you try and create the balance. If one of your batters does keep, like Rahul did, then it gives you another spot for a bowler or an extra batsman. So
Did you enjoy KL Rahul with the gloves, or did he enjoy it with the gloves last season, Haji? KL Rahul?
Yeah, he actually did. Look, I was really nervous about his glove work, to be honest. Given the fact that he had that sort of back and shoulder injury for a bit of time and he hadn't done a lot of keeping. Fair credit to KL Rahul. He was outstanding with the gloves throughout the whole season. And, I'm not sure why you'd need to replace him as wicketkeeper. He did a great job to Mujib, who was a mystery spinner. Also Ashwin and also Axar, and did a great job to the quicks and dominated with the bat. So I'm not sure why you'd want to change that combination unless there's some sort of back injury which has snuck in again. But he was outstanding. I'd definitely stick with him if I'm Kings.
Johnny Bairstow finds a home in the Sunrisers Hyderabad. So there will go the England keeper batsman for his first IPL team, I think. So Bairstow getting a gig, and exactly for the reasons that you said for Sunrisers.
Yeah, and one thing which I enjoy about watching Johnny Bairstow is he hits a lot of sixes straight. He plays straight. He doesn't play too many cross-batted shots, and he's been in great form for England over the last 1 year. I think he has the most hundreds after Kohli, if I remember correctly. He scored 3 consecutive ODI hundreds, and I think it's a great pick for
Okay.
this SRH
The
team.
wicket-keeping options come up in this set as they continue, and Nicholas Pooran, who we had a little glimpse of when the West Indies were here a little while back, but is highly rated in this format, especially as a keeper batsman, and both RCB and Kings 11 seem to be showing interest. As I look at the RCB lineup, Parthiv Patel seems to be the only genuine keeping option that they have, Gaurav, letting go of Quinton de Kock, as we know. And then you've also got Kings 11, who we're also saying might be looking for someone like that. Nicholas Pooran?
Yeah, definitely. He's obviously getting a lot of bids. His performance in India again helped.
Yeah.
So I think if teams want to get picked, they need to come to India about 2-3 months
Just
before
before the auction.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Pooran has actually played for Mumbai Indians. He's been part of Mumbai Indians 2-3 years ago. They didn't play him. They didn't give him an opportunity. They released him. And now again, he's come back. And again, he's like Hetmeyer. Exactly like Hetmeyer. Keeps, hits those sixers, plays spin well. But not maybe as consistent enough.
But I'm just looking at that RCB overseas contingent now with AB de Villiers, Coulter Nile, Saudi, Hetmeyer, Marcus Stoinis depending on availability, Colin de Grandin, Moeen Ali too. And whether if you bring in another overseas player, how does that? Do they still have room to bring in enough overseas players, Ajit, as we look at that?
Yeah, I mean, again, wicket-keeper. Like you said before, at the moment, from what we can see, de Villiers obviously doesn't keep anymore.
So, yeah,
Parthiv
Parthiv.
Patel is the only guy. Again, what sort of balance do you want to play? But it's always a good option to have. I mean, someone, and he did well in India. I think the few times that we saw him bat in India, someone who can play spin will always be on top of the list for the franchisees if it's an overseas player.
Well, as I see, that is the second keeper now that Kings 11 seem to be interested in, Haji. So as much as KL Rahul might have done a job for you guys last year, it seems like the belief of the new think tank is that they need a wicket-keeping option. I don't know if that's just a reserve option, but 3 crore is the bid that Nicholas Pooran is already demanding. So clearly there is some hunger or appetite for a keeper for Punjab.
Yeah, it sounds that way. I mean, maybe Ashwin, he would know a little bit more than I would right now. He's in the camp with India and he's probably been speaking to KL Rahul and asking him whether he wants to keep and his ambitions, So, he might have a little bit more inside running than I have. But Nicholas Pooran he's a good player. He's a fairly aggressive player. He's certainly not a banker. He's got a high strike rate, but his success rate wouldn't be that outstanding. But an exciting talent, and he'll probably do well at Mohali for sure.
Yeah,
But
now that's where he's going, just confirming Ajit. 4.2 crore, Nicholas Pooran to Punjab, who becomes their second acquisition of this auction. Again, an overseas one. Moses Andrix being picked up at 1 crore a little while back. Yes,
I mean,
Ajit.
what Gaurav said before, you still want quality. Maybe, like Haji said, KL Rao's done well with the gloves last year, but how many really good players are in that list that is coming through? So you may as well, they tried for Besto, they got priced out out of that, and Pooran again has shown enough when he's played in India, so you'd rather take a little bit, I mean, I know small sample size, but at least proven in these conditions, so you'd rather have quality than not find anyone later and just then scramble a squad.
Would you also be a little bit worried for KL Rahul, who might come into next year's IPL with not as much form behind him? Bit of a struggle of late in all formats to get runs, relieve him of the keeping duties?
Yeah, I mean, they'll probably take that call depending on how they assemble their squad. But no, not really. I think IPL T20 cricket sort of is a little different to what is going in international cricket at the moment. Who knows? There's still a bit of time. There's a few months to go for that IPL. So they'd be hoping Rahul is in as good a form as he was before.
Okay, I'm curious that Ridhiman Saha has actually got a bid, 1.2 crore. Back he goes to the Sunrisers Hyderabad. Now Saha nursing a long-term injury that keeps the frontline keeper for India and Test cricket out of action for a significant amount of time. But at 1.2 crore, Sunrisers Hyderabad, some backup?
Yeah, no, it's not even a backup. He needs to play after Basto goes. They don't have a keeper. So they have a Shivats Goswami who didn't do well. So they would just hope that Saha comes back to form and uses the IPL as a platform to come back to the Indian team. So he would be highly motivated to do that.
Okay, Saha's injury though, sometimes that tends to play a part on whether you think a player will be at his best. He's had a long time out now. At 1.2 crore, is he still a safe enough bet to put in?
Yeah, again,
You turn that music down a bit.
Sorry, I thought Haji was saying something.
Carry on. Yes, Haji, yes, let's go to you.
No, I was just saying that the music was exciting. I was just singing to myself actually, but sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut you off, Ajit.
No. We'll
We'll
take it back to Saha's discussion. Yes, sir. Yes, Ajit. On
Yeah,
Saha.
no, again, proven player, familiarity with the squad
But
as
he
well.
was struggling to find a place for Sunrisers as a batsman.
Yeah, but
up
maybe
and
he's
down.
not their first choice anymore as a wicket keeper. But at least with that experience, hopefully he's over his injury, which will help. Like Gaurav said, sometimes the hunger is there to try and get back to the Indian squad. Makes a guy push a little bit more. But Sunrisers just keeps making that the depth of the squad stronger with every pick that they get.
The interesting thing so far, what I've seen is there's one team which they don't need any players. They've been very silent in the auction, which is CSK.
Yes.
There's one team which
Your
needs
team.
a lot of players who's also been very silent, which is Rajasthan. So it's slightly interesting how they're actually thinking.
So what can we assume now? Rajasthan are going to continue investing in some sort of unknown quantities, youth players and whatnot, and come back because the significant amount of the high-profile players seem to have gone.
Yeah, looks like it. But I mean, the worry for them is someone like a Stokes, Steve Smith,
And
Butler. All three are likely to leave at some stage. So you'd want a decent overseas sort of backup for those. I mean, those three are big players for them.
Do you see this as a relatively quiet auction from the evidence of the first 40 minutes or so, Haji?
Yeah, I do actually. I think the teams have been really specific about who they're going for. It's really interesting that some haven't been active at all when you think that the core group of super talent have just come out. So be interesting to see where all the rest of these players come out and what teams are excited by them and whether they just need to find a few pieces of gold or they're just happy with what they got. But yeah, very interesting. I thought Hedimaier was a good purchase. I think he'll be an outstanding IPL player. He might be a little bit like Evan Lewis, where it'll take a little bit of time to adapt, but he's got some serious talent.
I mean, there's some Indian uncapped players to come who've done well in recent times in domestic cricket. At least from the talk around, there are a few of them that the franchises are looking for, so they might attract some bids.
And I know you're quietly alluding to Shivam Dube as one of those players, and he's up for bidding in just a little while. The auction's taken a bit of a breather, but we actually did get hold of Shivam Dube much before. All of you might have read up on him or seen him play for Mumbai, because when Jimmy Faulkner was here around last time in the IPL, we managed to get Shivam Dube as well, and the two of them were up for a challenge. Have a look at this.
Going head-to-head today are two cricketers for whom sixers are hot currency. James Faulkner has hit many biggies on Australian grounds, but here he will be tested for muscle and accuracy. On the other side of the ring, Shivam Dube, Mumbai's newest T20 star. He's not here as a fan, but as the underdog. Their task is to hit a target 60 meters away and 22 feet above the ground, but that's easier said than done. It's like being on a cricket pitch and hitting the ball in one specific spot at the boundary, like aiming to hit a spectator. It needs a fluid bat swing, body balance, and accuracy. And remember, there's no bowler here, so there's no reverse momentum of the ball that they can use to hit far.
Welcome to Up for the Challenge. I'm at the Goregaon Sports Complex. My name is Cyrus Bochaskar, ex-Mumbai cricketer, and with me, of course, present Mumbai cricketer Shivam Dube, and next to him, James Faulkner, Australian all-rounder. They both got bats, and we've got a target about 60 meters away. They've got to hit this target. It's not very big. I'm giving them 30 balls. I'll repeat that, 30 balls each to hit that target from 60 meters away. And we'll see who hits the target more often. Now, Australia gets a red ball for some reason. I don't know why. And Shivam, you get a white ball. All right? Now, Shivam, feeling nervous, tension?
Yeah, quite nervous.
Do you want me to do some setting?
No.
Because it's not very, you know.
Are you nervous because you got to hit the sign or because you're standing next to him?
Give us a hug. And up for the challenge. Not bad. Ooh, that was close. Oops. It's an issue of optical illusion. I think he's not able to see the target anymore because he's hitting everything else.
Popped the hole through the 60 there. That's it.
That's it?
Yeah, come on.
And look at the spirit of sportsmanship here. It's not just mosquitoes which he's trying to get rid of when he does that. He's actually applauding.
Oh, that one's close as well, isn't it?
Oh, that could be.
Oh.
Ooh! Oh, is it going? Is it going? Is it going? Oh, yes!
Yeah,
unbelievable! That's 2-0. I was the cynic who said no one could do it. I've been proven wrong.
Is that hitting? Too strong.
James is not perturbed. I think he thinks 2 is not that big a number.
No, 2's pretty good. That's nearly 3.
And that could be. No, it's,
Yeah.
it's a good catch, but.
Oh,
is that? Oh, that is. That. Oh!
Let's go. It's got it.
And. Yes!
Oh!
Let me see if James' expression is authentic and whether
It's
he
gonna be
really.
hard.
Are you feeling good or bad?
Oh, it's going to be hard to beat.
It's the 1.
Oh, shot.
And no. Count stays at 3. So we quickly go there and congratulate our champion. Well done.
Was good.
Not bad, brother. So the pressure now is on the international cricketer. Already established. He's known for his power hitting. He's known for his finishing games. Can he finish this one off? He's got to get 4. It looks simple, but it's very tough. Can James do it? Can he finish this off? Can he get to 4? James, at least get to 3. Or to be a diplomatic issue.
I might need some extra balls.
We'll do that. Not a problem. Let's go. All right. Here's ball number 1, which will tell us what form he's in. Oh, not bad. And not bad, Shivam. All right, a lot of pressure now on our international.
Oh. Yeah.
But, oh, that was very close. That was very close. And, oh, too big. Oh, come on, James.
I don't think I'm going to hit, boys.
Don't worry about it. There's always dancing shows. In India, we got lots of work. Shivam, if you can see, is not sweating at all. He's cool as a cucumber.
There we go. There's one.
Oh, that's it. That's it. Australia is on the board. This is like Liverpool, Man City the other day. Okay, it's 3-1 at the moment. Let's see what happens. It's 3-1 with he's hit the purple patch from the pavilion end. And yes. Oh my God, it would have been 2-2, which would have been a world record, by the way. Nobody's ever done 2-2. Let's see how this plays out. Oh, he's getting closer.
There's another one.
Yes! This is going to be huge, ladies and gentlemen. Now Shivam is actually looking worried. All along cool as a cucumber, but you can see there's a little sweat coming down here, which is falling into my hand. Just a few balls left. It's 3-2. This is going to be the closest finish in the history of Up for the Challenge. It's never happened before. Shivam feeling the pressure. He's trying to act cool and calm, but all these...
Bang.
Yes! It's a tie at the moment. Oh, God. With about 22 balls left, he was 0, and now he's got 3, and he could actually win from here. With the final ball, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, what a finish. What a finish. Okay, so here it is. It's a dead heat. It's a tie. It's like Usain Bolt versus Carl Lewis at their very best, and we couldn't get a winner, but we give them a super over. So very quickly, 6 balls each. Who's going first? Shivam? Shivam's going to go first. He's going to open the attack. Let's go. May the best man win. Oh! Right arm under the wicket. And you! Oh, this was really close, really close. Shivam, draw. Draw. And can he change it with a... Oh, that was unbelievable. God, that was like 2 inches away from the target, but what a game. Really. Up for the challenge. It's a tie. Well played, guys. Well played. Superb.
Clever.
Excellent.
Hot, isn't it?
Shabir,
Yeah, it's really hot.
Well bowled.
I lost my swing. I was getting a bit exhausted towards the end.
It's all about the momentum, that's what I think.
Yeah, I'm ready for an ice bath.
But you hit a purple patch, you hit a bit for about 8-10 balls where you almost hit everything, and you hit those 3 that went.
Bit of rhythm, but it doesn't count though, does it? It doesn't matter how close you are.
True.
You got to hit it.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm
disappointed really with myself.
You want to do some more?
No.
I didn't think so. Well done. Well done. All right. Tell the truth. You played little below yourself, no? Because he's a guest of our country. That's good. It's okay.
नहीं नहीं ऐसा कुछ नहीं है खेला अपने एबिलिटी के ऊपर ही खेला और जैसा था वैसा पूरी ताकत से मार रहा था ऐसा कुछ
ठीक है, he's a diplomat, he's a gentleman, he won't say anything more. But well played, Shivam. Thank you so much. Come, let's go enjoy refreshments. Chai hai without sugar. Come. Yeah, that was up for a challenge. Very important thing. I guessed it. I understand it. Fine, that's not important. What's important is that they are professional cricketers who are paid lots of money to play. And they hit only 3 each out of 30 balls. I'm going to do it, ladies and gentlemen, to prove to you कि आम आदमी की ताकत क्या है आजकल. I can show you that anyone can hit this small mark from 60 meters away in no time. And I'll take only 6 balls to complete my total of 90%, which should be 5 out of 6. That was my warm-up shot. Don't worry about it. Matika. I'm coming to it. Keep the head still. अरे किसी ने हिलाया मार्क को? कौन है उधर? राजू! Funny यार. People try to make a joke out of it. There you can see it.
Hope you enjoyed Shivam Dube and Jimmy Faulkner having a go in our series Up for the Challenge with Cyrus Brocha. You can catch more of that on ESPNcricinfo.com. Jimmy Faulkner will be part of this auction a little while from now. He's set to come out in set number 20. So let's see if the man of the match of the 2015 World Cup final gets any bidders. He's found his way out of the Australian setup. But another left-arm seamer seems to have found his way into the money bags yet again. Jaydev Unadkat has been getting significant bids as the auction resumes, and he's now crossed, he's well in excess of 5 crore already. So Ajit Agarkar, Gaurav Sundararaman still with me. You seem to have suddenly changed at the Trisco there. Look at that, how quick was that?
Maybe CSK is bidding.
CSK is bidding, yeah, he's changed his colours now.
Changed to Sunrisers colours.
Is that right? And Brad Hodge is with us as well. Jaydev Unadkat has fetched a significant bid already, and I don't think Ajit will be surprised by the interest shown, given that there are some seamers that need to be invested in.
Yeah, always happy when a fast bowler goes for some, get some money. So no, he went for a lot of money last year, and obviously the team sort of released him. But you know that he's done it before in the IPL. Provides a little bit of obvious variation, being a left armer. Bowls well on these slower pitches in India as well. So you would expect again an experienced international or Indian international. So not surprised. Surprised by how aggressive the bidding is, but like you said before, you know it's the quality. Maybe there are limited sort of quality players or proven players or experience.
As effective in Jaipur last year, Gaurav.
Chennai, it's not a surprise. They have 8.4 crores. They needed 2 slots. One is a left-arm pacer and a backup spinner for Harbhajan. So
is that what MS told you? Is it?
No, it's otherwise they have 23 players and they need 2 Indians, and that's the only thing
they don't have. Have they even sent anybody under the auction? Anyone important? But anyway, carry on.
So the 8.5, if they don't get Unadkat, I expect them to go for Mohit just for convenience for Dhoni, people whom he knows. So, but otherwise, Unadkat, it is not a surprise. Number of left-arm pace bowlers. We saw Khalil. We saw there's a guy called Kulwant Kajoliya, and now you have Unadkat. So options are very little.
I mean, I'm seeing Rajasthan show interest at 7 crore. What is it that they recorded him for last year?
I think it was more than
11,
excess of 11
so they are happy to pay 7 crore for
it's still a positive for them. As long as they go up to 11, they can. CSK can go up to 8.4 if they don't want to buy anybody else.
Yeah.
So. And Punjab also can go. Punjab also require a bowler. They don't have they've released Mohit Sharma. They have only Ankit Rajput. So, which is why I said pace bowlers will be in demand.
And that, of course, is after we remind you that the premier contingent of fast bowlers that India will look at as part of the World Cup probables won't be playing the entire duration of the IPL. We're looking at over a 7 crore bid right now for Jaydev Unadkat, Haji, and it's coming from Punjab, from Rajasthan, Chennai, showing interest to, again, a case of demand and supply. Not too many left-arm seamers up for grabs in the auction. Someone like Unadkat worth a significant amount of money?
Yeah, not many good quality available around. And I mean, he's had a good couple of years Unadkat, hasn't he? He was up above 12 crores, I think, last year. He's up above 7 now. So he's loving IPL time. And that's the great thing about it, is that, you know, this domestic tournament rewards those. And if you've got some special qualities, and if the time's right, then it's your lucky day. So he's a proven performer. I think that's the one thing that you can bank on him. He's a reliable campaigner, left arm, which is different, and he can bat as well, and he's pretty good in the field. So not surprising that he's gone this high again for, you know, with limited slots, that people are just going to want to try and get that X factor, which Unadkat can be.
It's amazing. He's already gone to 8.4 crores. So it's a very, very happy December and Christmas for Jaydev Unadkat.
Ajit.
And yes, 8.4 crores and
Yes,
counting.
Haji.
And counting.
Ajit, you should have started bowling left arm a
Rajasthan.
couple of years ago. This is what we would have needed, that.
What makes you think Ajit hasn't made his fair share of money, Ajit?
I'm just saying that. I'm just saying, bowling 4 overs in T20 cricket, it's not the worst trade you can do.
He's still in demand for T10 cricket and ice cricket and whatnot. So don't worry, there's plenty of opportunity for Ajit. But we now confirm 8.4 crore Jaydev Unadkat back to Rajasthan. Right.
So they do save money. They do save 2.6 crores.
Yes.
And it's actually a smart thing to do, because
but he didn't
if
bowl
they
as
retain-
well at Rajasthan.
Yeah, but
he wasn't one of the better bowlers. There were disappointments. Was it conditions, Ajit? Is this a smart bet for Rajasthan going back?
Yeah, but I mean, like we've spoken before, the lack of maybe options or lack of proven quality, lack of experienced guys, then you'd rather go for what you know than you know, someone you want to take chance on. So yeah, good for him, but yeah, I felt it's not the conditions in Rajasthan perhaps don't suit him. Uses a lot of variations, sometimes don't suit him as much, or didn't at least last time. Might be better off for that experience. So he's been around the Indian setup for a while, experienced domestic player as well. So yeah, they've saved money, like Gaurav said. Better at 8 point whatever crores than 11 and a half.
8.4 crore. And if you look at that list, Gaurav, the point you make is that there is only Dhaval Kulkarni as the Indian seamer as part of that bunch. So you would think that they needed an Indian seamer and they've gone with the guy they know, even if he didn't have a good season.
And if they had retained him, they would have actually had a lesser purse. So now they have they have 2.5 crores more.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of teams need Indian pacers.
And echoing that sentiment is the fact that Ishant Sharma has got a bid. So that's some news. We were wondering whether Ishant Sharma would also be of interest, but missed out the last year's IPL. If you look at those numbers, I don't know if you're going to be as impressed, but it does look like Ishant Sharma is of interest, Haji, and at 1.10 crore has been sold to his home state. Delhi Capitals have picked up Ishant Sharma at 1 crore. Do you think there's still merit in Ishant Sharma, the white ball 2020 bowler?
Look, I think that he's a good backup if things go wrong. They've got Morris there who's going to lead the attack. You know, I think one of the things which I've seen Ishant grow in the last 12 months is with his skill and experience. And yeah, I think he'll be a great, valuable asset to Delhi, because even though he hasn't played a lot of T20 cricket, he's still of a sound mind and he's got some skills which he can just bring as an Indian player. He's helped lead this Indian resurgence, and this Indian attack in Test cricket and one-day cricket and T20 is outstanding. And he's been a part of that, so he must have a lot of knowledge to share. And he's also a dangerous campaigner. If he still sends that ball down 140, 145 kilometres an hour, if it moves, you know, any batsman can be in trouble.
Lasith Malinga has also picked up a bit. We'll come back to him in a bit. But Ajit, you said many times while we've been covering Ishant in Test cricket in this year that you think staying away from white ball cricket has helped his game in red ball. Now, is this just a reflection of how good he's been in red ball cricket?
Yeah, it's got to be that. Maybe he has a couple of friends on that Delhi table as well. But no, it's one of those things. At the moment, he's bowling really well, and that might have prompted them to. He's an experienced campaigner. I think he's played enough in the IPL as well before. And obviously, you know, loss of form meant that he wasn't then picked for the IPL last year. So, no, proven quality again. They've got Avesh Khan and Harshal Patel as their Indian seamers that I can see from, along with Rabada and Morris. So, I think more at this stage, the way I look at him more as a backup than to start. I mean, again, it's more current performance that has prompted Delhi to take a chance on him, I think.
There he goes then. Friends on the table for Lasith Malinga on the Mumbai Indians table. You think so? Maila Jayawardene has brought Malinga to the Mumbai Indians for 2 crore. It never happens that coaches of a certain nationality prefer players of a certain nationality, Haji, but maybe you can see that in this case, Lasith Malinga has earned himself an entry back into an IPL side, albeit the one that he's been playing for all these years.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised either because Mahela knows exactly what to do and get the best out of Lasith. So it's not a bad buy actually. Just in case something goes wrong with Jasprit Bumrah, he's still got a tough road ahead in his last 2 tests for Australia, so that's going to be hard. And I think it's a smart buy, just to park Lasith there on the bench. Being a Sri Lankan, Mahela knows him pretty well and he knows how he fits into the team environment, so that's also very important. And don't forget the point that I mentioned before about bowling in the nets, practicing Yorkers and slow balls to the likes of Pollard and Rohit Sharma, that need to knock it out of the park in the death is also valuable. So money well spent, I reckon.
Yeah, 2 crore Malinga, you take him at that amount. I thought maybe there could be some more interest given the limited fast bowler availability. But as he points out, not only as backup for Bumrah, but at some point Bumrah you think will not play in the IPL.
Yes, Bumrah may not play if the Indian team management want him to take a rest, but that's what they need, an Indian pace bowler, because they don't have any of those. So they need an Indian pace bowler to replace Bumrah, whereas they have Mitchell McClahan, Berendorf and Malinga. I think this was a foregone conclusion. I just feel that Mumbai Indians would have told Malinga, like, put this as your base price, we'll pick you up for the same price, and that's something which Malinga has done. So I think they'll use him more as a mentor as well, along with Zach.
Yeah, but I think with their kind of Indian batting, they don't really need a lot of Indian bowling. In any case, Hardik Pandya is their all-rounder, seam bowling all-rounder. Yeah, so no, I'm talking about seam bowling. So,
yes.
Adam Milne, Cutting, Berendorf, those sorts of guys, McClanahan and Malinga now. So I think one of the stronger teams. They don't need too many additions to their team. Like the Sunrisers, just filling the gaps. And Malinga, I mean, if he's fit, you'd always want him. I mean, he just with his experience, even if he's not as quick as we saw against England, when he picked those 5 wickets up, just the variations and how difficult he is to pick. I mean, it's always a handy buy if Malinga is fit.
Lots of interest in Mohammad Shami too. Comes at the back of an excellent bowling spell at Perth, albeit in a defeat for India. But interest from Chennai, interest from Rajasthan, interest from Punjab. So we know again Chennai are going for some players that MS Dhoni has seen before. Mohammad Shami didn't have much to do in last year's IPL with injury and other issues that kept him away from cricketing action. But Shami would still be of interest as an Indian seamer for Chennai.
It's a surprise to me. He's never done anything of note in the IPL over the last 3-4 seasons whenever he's played. I'm very, very surprised that people are bidding so high for him. Maybe it's again pure lack of options of Indian fast bowlers or familiarity. I'm not too sure because Shami's never really done well in the IPL.
The thing is, though,
I wouldn't play so much.
Yeah, I mean the thing is though, he's got enough quality. I think his one-day numbers are exceptional for India. For some reason in T20 cricket or at least in IPL cricket he hasn't had a great time. Maybe playing under someone like MS Dhoni might actually help him. Chennai is a bigger ground as well. I know they played in Pune last year, but if they are playing in Chennai, it's a slightly bigger ground. Sometimes the captain helps, playing under somebody who can then handle a particular bowler might help, because I can't believe that. I'm glad that there are takers for Shami, because I think is if I had to pick between Ishant Sharma and Shami for T20 cricket, I know who I'd go for.
Yeah, 4 crore. So you can see he's worth that much in the eyes of the franchises, and it's still not confirmed. Is he part of the World Cup probables for you as India look for their set of reserve seamers to Bhuvaneshwar and Bumrah?
Yeah, I hope so. I'm sure that he'll be part of their thinking, because you look at his one-day numbers. I mean, the strike rate in today's day and age, you need wickets all the time, and there might be times where he can go for a few, but he'll always pick you wickets, which is what the Indian team needs. So I'm assuming, including Hardik Pandya, there'll be 5 going. So I think he should be in that other 4 where Bumrah and Bhuvaneshwar Kumar likely to be there anyway.
And in such cases, the order matters. You have Mohit also coming up, so you don't want to miss out on any of them. So Punjab may not want to go back to Mohit again. So Punjab may go all out for Shami, whether CSK would be happy to just raise the price and pick back Mohit Sharma, who's been a pretty useful asset for CSK.
Yeah, I mean, bidding to Mohammad Shami continues. I wished I would have gotten a confirmed number by now, but it's fast approaching the
Good time to get a 6
crore
for test
mark.
cricket.
Yeah, very good time. At Perth, 6 wickets. Mohammad Shami, 5 crore and counting. Haji, it seems like there is a significant, as we expected, impact of the World Cup scheduling, the availability of the fast bowlers and whatnot, that's dictating how the franchises want to bid aggressively or not for players, and Indian seamers again might be at a premium in this auction.
Yeah, it looks that way. Definitely, you can obviously see by the bidding wars from Shami, Unadkat, that those little premium Indian specialty fast bowlers are going high. I think the one thing which we saw the numbers on Mohammad Shami there before, I think one of the things which he hasn't possessed in the past is a slow ball or a change of pace. So if he can develop that from now till this IPL, yeah, he's certainly been a good buy because he's definitely in the form of his life. If he can just bring that economy rate down from 9 to 8.5 this year, then you're going to accept that. That's pretty good numbers. So, and he does pick up wickets, as Ajit said. He's a wicket taker, and through the course of T20, you need wickets consistently. So he'll be one that definitely the captain can throw the ball to, and you know that something's going to happen.
Well, he's going to go to the Kings 11 Punjab. Haji, 4.8 crore. Does that, to some way, is that understandable? Only Ankit Rajput, the seamer, the Indian seamer, in that option and in that lineup, and alongside Andrew Tye now. That makes for 3 pacers in that Punjab team as things stand. Mujib, of course, and Ashwin as the 2 spinners that they have. So, Mohammad Shami to Punjab. Just your thoughts on Shami going to Punjab?
Well, I mean, the only thing for me is that he's quite similar to Ankit Rajput, isn't he? With right arm sort of outswing, hitting the top of off stump. He can bowl at a good pace, so maybe they've gone for the extra pace, and he'll be a challenge, definitely. Mahali, but that means that Ankit Rajput will have to step up and do a death bowling role along with AJ Tye, so that exposes him in a different sense. So these are all the combinations that when you get, you got to work out what's Shami going to do. Is he going to open the bowling? Is he going to gun him on the 5th or 6th over? Is he going to bowl through the middle? So they'll have a specific role in which they will have marked out for him. But, if they didn't get Jaydev Unadkat, it feels like, Mohammed's the next example, and then, just keeps rolling on. But they are a premium. He'll be a fiery character at Mahali, no doubt.
All right, now more interest for the Indian seamers as Varun Aaron has also got a significant bid. So we're also looking at the obvious that Indian fast bowlers are of interest.
I mean, that is obviously the reason, but also I'm sure the scouts would have looked at how he's bowling through the domestic season. I think he's played in the IPL before, played in the team that I played for Delhi Daredevils, and had a really good season, that one season. But I'm sure the franchises have kept an eye on how he's doing during the course of the year, and obviously he's doing something right that people want to take a chance on him, apart from just being an Indian fast bowler.
Delhi interested, Rajasthan interested. What does that tell you about their requirement for an Indian fast bowler, Gaurav?
Most teams want Indian fast bowlers, and they're all going as per reputation and perception. So something I would have wanted teams to do differently is go behind some more local and new talent. Somehow they seem to still have that need to go back to the same guys again and again. So that is something maybe needs to change.
No, I like that you say that. We thought that a lot of interest might come for players that we don't know of. Looking at scouts, might have seen some quick bowler, at some amateur level of cricket. But is it understandable, or is it something that you think is?
So I have a different theory. With what happened to CSK last year, when a lot of teams didn't talk about experience and how much experience matters, they kind of influenced a lot of thinking. So maybe because they won the title, a lot of other teams would have been thinking that yes, we can't just go fully on youth and let's have an experience. It's just my theory.
It well. He tipped them.
Did CSK win it last year? Is that right? Okay. No, but let me ask Haji that. It's interesting because I was one of the skeptics, and I'll admit it, Haji, for CSK, because they picked up a team which I thought was, many players past their prime and whatnot. But as Gaurav says, have they perhaps set a trend, or at least a trend for this season, that you can invest or you should invest more in experience? You said at the top of the show that experience still counts.
Yeah, and it does count. And usually when in the heat of the battle, it's generally experience will get you over the line before inexperience. So, when you're trying to chase down 12 and over, a methodical, experienced person will probably get the job done, or under pressure bowling ahead of a youngster. Having said that, though, I mean, it's important to build a younger group, but in T20, I think that one of the questions we had about CSK was how are they going to go over the course of 2 months of 14, 15 games? Would they be able to sustain it, that experience and performance? So they did answer the question, they did well, and they won the tournament. So if you can manage your players well, then certainly that will be the thinking of a lot of the franchise, that experience does count. But also you've seen what youth can do, and someone like Rishabh Pant, who comes in with no baggage, just comes in and lights the tournament up and flays the ball everywhere. So bit of a catch-22, but thinking, I think, has changed towards experience a little bit.
I mean, we still don't know. There might be part of it played, or some of it played in South Africa as well.
Yeah.
That could very well then these guys might play a bigger part than at the moment that we think. The likes of Varun Aaron or Shami, that might make a difference to those squads as well.
2.4 crore Varun Aaron to Rajasthan. Not the worst ground for Varun Aaron to bowl at Jaipur.
Still pretty flat.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, it's the experience again. Of having played in the IPL, he knows the pressure that there is playing in the IPL. So yeah, a proven performer, or proven sort of experienced guy who's been around. So yeah, franchises want to be sort of make sure that they have enough experienced guys in their setup or in their squad.
And the other important point to note is, where are they in their career, personal career? Because a lot of players would want to make the national team, international team based on their performance in IPL. Varun Aaron has been out of the Indian setup for 2-3 years, and with so much focus on fast bowling, he would want to get into that setup. So he might be the most motivated among all the fast bowlers there, if you actually see, because Ishant's part of the setup, Shami is part of the setup, and they would just be doing their
so where do you place Mohit Sharma on that list then, at 2.2 crore and continue being bid for? And Chennai, like you rightly point out, are interested in,
because they just don't have fast bowlers. So that's also the other thing. They're teams which don't have quicks, and you would want, like Ajit said earlier, Ishant Sharma may be a backup for Delhi, and Delhi have been bidding for all the fast bowlers. So it's very clear that is their problem. They have only Harshal Patel and Avesh Khan. So they need that experienced fast bowlers as well. So now it's a matter of really filling those gaps and those exact specific positions. So you will not see people bidding unnecessarily for other positions.
I see Mumbai have come in for Mohit Sharma. This you can assume now could be the backup for Jasprit Bumrah. That they're looking for 3.4 crore and counting, Mumbai and Chennai.
Yeah, both of them don't have any more major slots to fill. So Chennai have just 2 slots to effectively fill, which is a fast bowler and a spinner. So they would keep going till they get somebody.
And Zair Khan wouldn't be an option for them, would they? Now that he's joined the team,
But they've already got Malinga was the coach last year. They might get Zair Khan to play as well. He's just played in the T10 in any case.
Yeah, so. Well, I'm not sure that will inspire Mahila to play in the T10 performance. But yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if actually CSK would just splurge 8.4 crores, because Dhoni knows after this he does not know the players.
Yeah.
So
he would rather just likes familiar.
Yes, he has a thing for
familiarity. Played for him or under him, whether it was in Pune or Chennai. Yeah, they've got Deepak Chahar and Shardul Thakur were the 2 guys that played for them last year and did quite well. So yeah, and Mohit Sharma's done well for him before when he's played at Chennai.
I think that could very well be the modus operandi for Chennai. And at 5 crore, it looks likely that he's almost set to go and join MS Dhoni or rejoin MS Dhoni at CSK. So Haji, Chennai continuing with their trend. We know what these players are about, and we're going to invest in them, and we don't really need to take any more gambles in this auction.
Yeah, it's interesting that he's gone that price actually. I thought he was, even though he's coming back from stress fracture injury last year, I didn't think that an economy rate of 10 was acceptable in the IPL. So I think it's more of familiarity, however you say that, with MSD, to know that he can probably get the best out of Mohit, being that he's been there before and he knows him well. So great guy, great to have around the dressing room. I just don't think that he's going to be able to deliver what he needs to do in the IPL stage
that's
anymore.
A fair comment, because he didn't quite pull his weight for Kings 11, as Haji rightly points out, but very good 2015 World Cup campaign, likes playing under MS Dhoni, So could again be a captain and fast bowler combination that might be better.
But
for
again,
him.
limited with what he has.
Of course.
But sometimes MS Dhoni likes that. He's at times a bit too practical with how he prefers guys in his team, and he knows him very well. I think he's played a lot under him, so familiarity. I think I can't think of anything else, and also lack of options coming after this. Might have forced him to keep pushing for Mohit Sharma as well.
So 5 crore gone from the remaining purse of 8.4 and only one slot available, which has to be an Indian slot. So are the Chennai boys just getting up and going home now? Or
I think they can, because they're not going to get Varun if they're even trying to go for him as a backup spinner. But they need a spinner for Harbhajan, because he's not played cricket at all, and you need one Indian spinner just as a backup. But what's surprising is it was pretty predictable that CSK would go for Mohit, but nobody else seems to increase the price, or there's no
maybe
banter going around.
Mumbai tried for that. But perhaps, that's an interesting one. Or maybe they just know that CSK are just going to splurge 8. So they don't want to be stuck in case they pull out with Mohit Sharma at 7.5 or 8 crore. Rahul Sharma has gone unsold as we continue the bowlers list at this auction. We are eagerly building up to that set number 7, which has two extremely appetizing uncapped players in Shivam Dube and Varun Chakravarthy, who's the player that Brad Hodge that Gaurav Sundaraman has spoken of. Hodgie, let's come back to you at this point. So it seems like Chennai have done their bit, and they're one of, I don't know if there are those teams that you keep an eye on, like Gaurav says. How much of it is actually to try and just bump the price up? Is that something that we just like to pretend happens, or is it actually something that happens? Teams say, all right, we know what they're going to go for, let's bump up the price a bit more.
Yeah, well, you can do that because you knew that CSK, once they were going to bid for Mohit Sharma, that was obviously one of the bowlers that they had earmarked as someone they wanted. So you can just keep pushing it as much as you want, knowing the fact that they can only get one more player. So you might as well spend the money, and CSK are pretty happy to, and MSD gets his player, so he's happy, and it counts one other person out of any bidding war, down the track. So there's a little bit of that strategic management involved, but all in all, 5 crore is a lot to play for a player which might not even take the field, for the first 11.
Adam Zampa doesn't get a bid either. Is he part of Australia's World Cup plans? Haji had a good CPL. I don't know if they'll show some interest in him later, but what's the word on Adam Zampa and his future for the World Cup?
Yeah, he'll definitely be there. I think he's definitely Australia's premier spin bowler in terms of limited overs cricket. But I just don't think the franchises can take up a spot of an overseas spin bowler unless you're a mystery spinner like Rashid Khan or Mujib. So Adam Zampa, the role can be done by an Indian, and it's primary that you don't take up spots that can be done by locals. So that's probably the reason why there's no interest in Adam Zampa.
All right, so now that's set number 5 that's underway with spinners, and there doesn't seem much excitement there. Curry Pair, who we saw a little bit off from the West Indies, the left arm spinner, doesn't get a bid. There's also no bid for Adam Zampa, like we've pointed out. We're getting into the uncapped space now. Let's maybe round up and just see some of the squads, because Chennai have bought one player for a significant amount of money. At 5 crore, Mohit Sharma joins their team, and now they only got place for one more. Let's also throw up some of the other squads for you in a bit and see how this first hour or so of the auction has gone. And I think it's fair to say it's been a relatively precise, quiet auction where teams know exactly what they want. For that, something you expected?
Yes, smaller auctions generally tend to have this trend, and now, like I said earlier, teams know exactly what they want, who they want, what skill sets to fill. So it's just gone by the tee. It's actually becoming a bit predictable nowadays.
Yeah, but there are still a couple of teams who are quite short, whether it's a Rajasthan
and
or
KKR.
a Kings 11 or KKR are still their first.
Let's throw up Rajasthan and Kings 11's teams for you. We'll have a look, because now this is a significant chunk of the established player part of the auction that's behind us, and now a lot of it goes down to how much they're willing to spend on uncapped players and reserve international overseas players. And like Ajit says, there are a few people that have to build their squad still. So if we talk about Rajasthan, Jaydev Unadkat and Varun Aaron, so only 2 seamers.
It's their overseas guys in it. 3 of their top guys, Steven Smith, Butler and Stokes, are likely to leave.
Yeah.
And then they've left with just 2. It's Sodhi and Jofra Archer. So I'm sure they'll be looking at some overseas players to back up some of the younger Indian guys. So they'll they've got the money
Yeah.
at the moment, but you'll want quality as well
You-
if you're going to replace those three big guys.
You might, if Butler is your main man at the top, you might see maybe an interest in a Martin Guptill later on or somebody like that.
I would say they would go for someone like Luke Ronchi or Glenn Phillips because he's a keeper. Butler gives you keeping as well, so they need someone like that. So they might go for Luke Ronchi or
They
Glenn
do
Phillips.
have the option of Sanju Samson to take the gloves in that team.
Yeah.
I think Rahul Tripathi has also kept wicket, so there are a couple of options in that. But they had Heinrich Klaassen last year who managed to play in this team. That's not someone that they're going to look at. But yeah, if we just toss up that Rajasthan team for you, I think there could be some interest for overseas batters maybe a little later, Haji, as we just have a look at that team. That's the point Ajit makes. Their overseas players, Smith, Butler and Stokes, will all be called up for international duty at some point.
Yeah, and it is. And they might look at the end of the auction and go back to, they might look to go for some experience because they're going to lose Stokes, Smith and Butler. There's a lot of experience there. So, someone like McCullum might come in interest. They might go back to Darcy Short, who's already been there. Or they might go for a cheaper option, Cameron Dalport. Oh, no, he's already gone. But someone that's a bit random. But I'm not sure how you're going to replace those three players if they actually go. They're serious players.
Yeah, so
I mean, Jofra Archer might be eligible for England.
I was just thinking about that. I don't know what the conversation around Jofra Archer was, whether he's being looked at as an England probable.
In March, he gets eligible. So the only thing for contention is when do you have to announce the squads to ICC. So that's the only reason why they're not sure, but he's eligible from March.
I would think that the probable squad could come out after March, given the tournament is starting in the end of May. But yeah, so okay. So keep that nugget in your considerations. Punjab is the other team we thought that might have some work to do in this auction, and I don't know whether it's harder or easier to do your work in a smaller auction. But as I look at that team now, Haji, a team that you were part of the think tank of last year, what are the apprehensions at this point when they've taken the second break? They've obviously got in this portion of the auction so far Moses Henriques, Nicholas Pooran and Mohammad Shami. They've splurged 10 crore exactly. So just tell me your thoughts on what Punjab still need to do in the remainder of this auction.
Well, they've got a bit of an issue if Andrew Tyre's in the World Cup because their death bowling becomes very vulnerable. I think that what their plan or their thinking would have been is to go along the path of similar to that of KKR, where come and have a reduced squad and just back that 11 or that 12 to get the job done. So I think that's what their thinking will be. They've obviously backed up Chris Gale with Nicholas Pooran and also KL Rahul with some keeping, but to me, still their variation as well. I think they'll go exactly along that lines of pick their 4 overseas, back them in as long as possible. AJ Ty and Mujib are going to be first pick, and it's just a matter of finding that next overseas slot. But all in all, probably just need 1 or 2 local players to back it up, and they should be fine.
Is Andrew Ty a good 50 over prospect for you? Is that something that you'd like for someone like Ty, who's very effective when he has to bowl 4 overs? Do you think he can still be an effective 10 over bowler?
Yeah, I think he can. He has in the past, and I think he's played over in England a fair bit as well. But so that's a bit of a concern. I'm not sure on where he sits. I know that Stark, Cummings, Hazelwood being vice captain now will be in there, but these guys got a lot of workload as well. We've seen in the past pulling out of IPLs because of that workload. So it's a bit of a concern. I would say that he's in the mix. AJ Ty with Richardson, a couple of other younger guys, Nathan Coulter-Nile also. So it'll be a 50-50 call. So for him, I'd certainly take him as experience to back those 3 superstars up.
Okay, we're going to quickly await the next 2 sets, which include the uncapped players. And in set 7 come both Shivam Dube as well as Varun Chakravarthy. Looking at spending patterns so far, who are the likely teams to seriously make an aggressive bid for these players, Gaurav?
I think Punjab may want that mystery spinner because Ashwin, it worked for them last year, and maybe there is a chance that they could go for him. And there are other teams which require KKR could go for them just to add to their spin.
3-man spinner tag using.
No, the thing is, it's also a long-term investment. If he does very well, there's a chance that you can retain him for future. He's a young guy. So
but you've got Ashwin, you've got Mujib. Are you still looking that aggressively for a third spinner?
I think so. It's just a gut feel I have because Mujib and Varun, those are solid 8 overs if it works for them. So and we have seen in the past how
you rate this Varun very highly, don't you, Varun? Yeah.
No, I don't know. This is just you never know. These things click. These things don't click. It clicked with Mujib. It clicked with.
Yes.
It didn't click with Karyappa. So if it clicks, you obviously pick somebody hoping that things work.
Yes, of course.
And if it doesn't work, then it's a bad.
And there are a number of
move and you can
franchises
always-
that seem to be interested in Varun Chakravarthy.
Yeah, so there are teams which require spinners. Rajasthan, technically they don't, but they have a lot of money. It'll be interesting to see who actually goes and bids for him.
Tell me a little more about Shivam Dube, Ajit. You are, of course, his state selector. You've seen him enough. He's got serious ability. Is he also your 2020 sort of real quality player for 2020 that could come in?
Yeah, comfortably. Now, I mean, unless he's played in the IPL, you will never know. But from what we've seen over the last year or so, the improvement that he's had, almost, I mean, that's real high praise as such. I mean, you don't want to compare him but he's got the kind of power Yuvraj Singh sort of had. Left-hander, tall left-hander, hits a big ball. Whether he can replicate that at a higher standard, we'll have to wait and find out. But all signs are good at the moment. I mean, can still bowl.
So is a middle to lower middle order bat?
Yeah, at the moment bats 5 or 6 for the state team, but it's a long ball. And from what evidence we've seen throughout the course of this season, he's quite a smart cricketer.
Is he a 4-over bowler?
He did well in our one-day format.
Yes.
I think batting is his strongest suit for sure, but he's a smart enough bowler. I mean, tall guy, has his limitations yet with the white ball, but is still very handy. So like I said, till he doesn't play, you would not quite know. But I'd be very surprised if he doesn't go for a high win.
Yeah. And the fact that he's an all-rounder, he's likely to go more than a guy like Varun because he obviously has 2 skills and a lot of teams require. I think Bangalore requires Shivam. Punjab could do with a middle order Indian.
Yeah, someone like a Mumbai also. I mean, Hardik Pandya might leave at some
Hardik
stage.
Pandya also had a share of injury, might need to be managed and whatnot.
And he's a local guy, so Mumbai.
Do Mumbai have the purse to threaten for Shivam Dube? I'm looking at a purse of 11.15 minus 2, so it's a little over 9. You think that could be around his price? Maybe
I would
more?
look at more at Bangalore because 13.4 crores, they have most of their bases covered and they need that all-rounder position from India. So maybe Punjab and Bangalore would go a lot for Shivam Dube.
Okay, now in case you've not been catching us in the early parts of our chat, we've been on since the start of the auction. Before that even, Varun Chakravarthy is someone that the franchises seem to have a lot of interest in. We did manage to catch up with this mystery spinner from Tamil Nadu.
In T20 cricket, there are mystery spinners, and then there are those whose arrival on the big scene is a mystery. Meet the IPL's newest aspirant, 27-year-old Varun Chakravarthy from Tamil Nadu. Starting off as a keeper batsman in school, Chakravarthy drifted away from the game in college.
I quit cricket when I was studying in college, and after I finished my college, I took up cricket again and I wanted to be a fast bowler. And when I was a fast bowler for the team Crompes, that's when I injured my leg. And after that, when I took 6 months to recover from the injury, and after that I started bowling spin.
It was a big leap, one that would lead Chakravarthy to quit his architecture job and use that know-how in sport.
Architecture is mostly about visualizing. So whenever I bowl, I tend to visualize how the batsman is going to play. So that helps me a lot while bowling. So the love for cricket was always there inside me. I always loved cricket. I felt that I was able to express myself more in cricket. So that triggered me and that made me quit my job when I was 25 and I took up cricket back again.
The man who took 22 wickets in 9 matches of the Vijay Hazare Trophy this year already has had a bowl at the CSK and KKR nets.
Obviously the quality of IPL batsmen is top class, so I learned how to bowl to attacking batsmen and I learned how important line and length is. So I all learned it when I was a net bowler for CSK and KKR.
Chakravarty's big T20 break was the TNPL this year, where he grabbed the attention by choking the batsman with his variations and dot balls.
My idol is Anil Kumble. I look up to him a lot. I always keep on seeing his videos on YouTube. And the variations which I learned was my experience, what I had got from playing lots of tennis ball cricket. So I took lots of time to translate what I had, the skills that I had in tennis ball cricket to cricket ball. So it did take me time. So it was a transition which was very tough for me. So that's where I learned all my skills from.
The architect has laid the foundation and now needs some luck and persistence to make a tall career.
Again, the conversation around Varun Chakravarthy will be that in spite of this reputation he's built for himself in TNPL, whether he can scale up when the IPL teams come knocking. So from what you've seen, 7 variations apparently, is that right?
Yeah, but more than that, it's about how difficult it is for batsmen to face him. I think that's the final thing, and we've seen all these kind of bowlers do well only in the T20 format and not in the longer format, because when batsmen are looking to attack them, it's always very difficult to play those kind of bowlers. So
Can we see a shift almost, Ajit, in trends from T20 sides that they don't mind packing a team with maybe 3 or 4 spinners who might possess that mystery element rather than seamers? You think you need a seamer, but then seamers tend to go to the distance. Even part-time spinners tend to do a job for you more. Could that happen now with how many mystery spinners you're suddenly seeing pop up?
Yeah, I mean, if they're good enough though. We've seen, like Gaurav said before, there are cases who've been really successful right since the time they've been picked. There have been guys who've flattered in domestic cricket or domestic leagues in India and haven't quite gone on and troubled any top class batsmen. So also the conditions keep changing as the IPL goes along in India with all the heat around. The pitches do tend to slow down as the tournament progresses. So slower bowlers do come into the picture a lot more as the tournament goes on. But you still need quality. You don't. I mean, there are enough instances where part-time spinners, have struggled to play that all-rounders role. So you still want quality, and that's what every team's trying to find. Okay, if there is a mystery involved in it, even better.
And the other thing is, Haji can back me on this. Last year, the moment Mujib got injured, it was a big blow for Punjab. They didn't have anybody to actually play the same role. So maybe you even want to back up for the mystery spinner nowadays. If somebody's there, just take him, because you never know how things pan out. Imagine if he had got the injury in the second game, they wouldn't have even gone that far. So I would just keep him in my team, see how he pans out, and then decide what to do with it.
All right, Haji, maybe you can decide now if you want to back GS up, who's pinning all your hopes from last year on Mujib's success, as good as he was for you. Is that something that teams are specifically on the lookout for? Let's go and find a mystery spinner, someone who can add that element of surprise that sometimes a seam bowling all-rounder or a fast bowler can't.
Yeah, well, it's all actually about statistics and economy rates and so forth. So if you go through, the economy rates of the spin bowlers, they're actually a lot better than the quicks. So if you break it down into power play bowling, middle overs bowling, and death bowling, and you can get a good package on who you're buying. That's really important. We know that Samuel Narayan bowling in the power play is outstanding, and the middle and the death. If he bowls 17th, 18th, or 19th, that's a skill set that you just can't buy. It's a one-off. So look, I think this guy will go for a large amount of money if the wraps on him that are so big. I'd love to know what the 7 variations are. I'm not quite sure how you get 7 variations out, but for us, Mujib was, look, we didn't expect him to have as big an impact as what he did. Going on the spinners, teams are trying to find 10 to 12 overs out of a game of cricket nowadays. And we saw Mumbai Indians last year pick Makande out of nowhere. He was out of Punjab. And we probably didn't do our homework well enough to find him. He should have been playing for Kings 11. But those sort of little pieces of goal where you come in and have a massive impact in the IPL as an unknown, as a 10 lakh player, is huge.
Yeah. Are you telling me that R. Ashwin didn't give you a proper presentation on 7, 9, 10, 15 variations that a spinner is capable of coming up with?
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, whoever gave me the presentation didn't put Makande in there.
But they've seen this over the years. I mean, Mumbai Indians have been quiet, barring Lasith Malinga, who we almost expected they'd show some interest in. They've been quiet in this auction because they have their large squad, but they seem to be one team that tends to bring out players that others aren't really looking for. Markande is an example. Even when Krunal Pandya came in, there wasn't as much interest as you would have thought for the player that he's become. They've been one that's relied on a scouting system, haven't they, Gaurav?
Definitely, and we could see that coming much later today.
Yeah.
Much later in the auction, where they pick up players for 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs, and they actually try them in the nets. If you see Mumbai Indians, one more pattern is they pick a lot of players, they don't actually play them. They're around with the group, they're there for the group for the long time, and then if they feel they're really good, they keep him.
Yeah.
If they're not, they just release them. So maybe that's the way they try to identify 2-3 people, don't put them in the ocean immediately. Just keep them within the group, see their attitude, see how they bowl in the nets, how they make the batsmen struggle, and then pick them.
And generally, spinners who've created impact, okay, mystery spinners obviously, but otherwise wrist spinners. I don't think we've had too many finger spinners who've sort of created that sort of impact. So maybe tells you a lot more about the batsmen at this point in international cricket or just world over, who possibly don't read them as much.
Mumbai would be interested in a spinner though at some point, an Indian spinner, even if it's not Varun, but someone later, because Markande, they have Rahul Chahar as a backup leg spinner, but would they still be looking in the spin market?
Definitely. The other theory which I also look into when analyzing teams is very few players perform very well 2 consecutive seasons.
Yeah.
They don't back their performance in the next season. So if I was part of one of the teams, I would try to always go with some new faces every time. There are very few players who actually do well consecutively. Even last 3 years, if you pick out the stats, you wouldn't find the same name. So Markande, like you said earlier, he was found out towards the second half of the auction. Of the IPL. So, never know. Better to have some new face.
Devdut Padikkal, the opener, the under-19s from Karnataka, has actually gone to RCB. So, for some of you fans who believe that RCB don't get local players, that's a refreshing change. I can see a smile on your face too.
Yeah, it's a common thing on social media that for a long time they've not had any local player.
Yeah, that's so. There's a
batsman, right?
opening batsman, under-19, the under-19 Asia Cup in Bangladesh, Devdut Padikkal. So
obviously the scouting network at work here. I mean,
and they're not going very far.
No, but I mean, they've obviously
Karnataka.
seen something or identified something that can make a difference in their squad or what they're looking for. So, I mean, I'm looking at their openers here, and at the moment, what you're looking at Parthiv Patel, who opens, and Virat Kohli himself, Hetmyer maybe, but otherwise they do need an opener. So maybe they've seen something in the kid that's worth taking a punt on.
Yeah, and the batsmen tend to come up, and Kerala captain Sachin Baby is gone without a bait. So this is that phase now where we're trying to see how many scouts are at work. How does the scouting report tend to come to, say, a head coach's table? Haji, do you have those that are seriously recommended by the scouts, and do you put in a lot of investment with them? Are you given footage at times that's supplemented, or is it simply names and maybe a little bit of data? How much of this is sort of guesswork, and how much of it is actual homework that's done by the team think tank?
Yeah, look, and each franchise is different. When I arrived to Kings 11, we sort of didn't have a full system in place, so there was an area which we tried to work on and get better at. But certainly, if you case of Mumbai Indians, they got a strict following. Also, KKR, we know, do a lot of homework behind the scenes. But yeah, it happens. You've got to trust, and you've got to know that some people can actually do a good job and can step up to that plate. So it's more about also understanding the personality of the player. If you can get and spend some time with these guys in the nets or do some trials, then you also see how they react under pressure. So that's probably the most important thing, because you know that the step up in pressure is huge, but you got to trust the faith of that person to get the decision right and know that they're going to step up. Otherwise, it's on them.
Well, we do have Ankit Bhavne, who's gone unsold, the Maharashtra batsman. Now we've got Anmol Preet Singh, and he seems to have some takers. This is the uncapped batsman set, and we're waiting on Manan Vora, who's probably the player of most profile from this list, will be up any moment
unsold.
now. Manan Vora's gone unsold, is it? Confirmed.
Yeah.
So that's okay. So let's get a reaction on that. Vora going unsold, Ajit?
Yeah, bats at the top of the order. Maybe a lot of teams have that base covered. I mean, they tried him in the middle season. I think, if I'm not wrong, played for RCB as well. Didn't really do much. And if you don't have a spot at the top of the order, maybe he's a little bit limited then. I don't think he can bat at different positions as much as some of the other guys. So, yeah, it's one of those things. If you really need a particular player, you might look at it, and As far as I remember, I think his best innings have come at the top.
Okay, we also have a bid now, 80 lakhs for Anmol Preet Singh, the batsman who's gone to the Mumbai Indians. Any homework on Anmol Preet Singh? State Association is Punjab.
Actually yes, played against us in the under-23s last year. Actually, Mumbai our under-23 coach said he's their best batsman.
Okay.
Was their captain as well, if I'm not wrong, for the under-23s last year. Is playing in the Ranji Trophy currently for Punjab. So obviously promising player who I mean.
And again, it could either fit into the Mumbai Indians academy or be someone that could be
so
sorted.
Anmolpreet Singh was expected to be picked this season. He's like Ajit said, he's an excellent batsman and he averages in excess of 60 in first class cricket. And he was actually selected for the Duleep when India A and they played India Red Blue. He actually scored a century. And his T20 numbers are not great, but his ODI and first class numbers are really good. I think he's someone whom I think you can invest on.
Arman Jafar, on the other hand, Mumbai boy Wasim Jafar's nephew, has gone unsold in spite of a base of 20 lakh. Any other Mumbai boys that you seem to be putting an eye on that we know Shivam Dube is eagerly awaited for in this auction?
I haven't seen how many of them have put their name in.
I assume you can assume all of them have.
Yeah, I mean Shivam Dube looks the likeliest of what we've seen from the performances in domestic cricket or first class cricket this year, whether it's in the one-dayers or in the 4-day format. So yeah, and he clearly stands out as far as T20 cricket is concerned.
So Anmol Preet Singh has gone to Mumbai. That's the most recent recruit, and now we've also got we're eagerly awaiting the prospect of Shivam Dube showing up at some point in the auction. How much of this would franchises want to just hold on to their money towards the end to try and see if they want to pick up Haji? At what point in the auction do you start saying, okay, let's just see how the others are going. If we've got some money, we'll come back later and check from the list that's gone unsold so far?
Well, it's probably only someone who you can replace with. So if there's someone that's going to come up who's a prime or a category 1 sort of player where you desperately think you need, you'll go as hard as you possibly can and spend that purse. I think that everyone else knows in the franchises who the good players are. There's a number of players that you can go and fill minimal roles and you can work with behind the scenes, but most of the squads look to be set, that they've got their core group of 14, 15 players sorted out. So, these guys might be ones that just can fill a role from time to time or just be a backup for another superstar. That's what you'd be looking for, and there's a number of those good players.
Sarfaraz Khan has been picked up by the Kings 11 Punjab for 25 lakh, player of a significant popularity. We've seen enough of Sarfaraz Khan and the lap shots that he plays. He'll get to play those in Mohali now. It's a long boundary to clear. But Sarfaraz to Punjab.
You mean you've only seen the lap shots, or
have you seen any others?
No.
He's moved back to Bombay, is it? From UP?
I think so. I haven't. I think he's moved back to Bombay.
And you're not allowed to play for some time.
So there you've got Sarfaraz Khan with Punjab. Now, Gaurav, is this just a result of the team having to build and put in some numbers?
I think it's 25 lakhs. Somebody who's played the IPL, again, experience. Maybe he was not, best potential was not got in RCB.
One of the players that they retained with Virat Kohli last year, RCB.
Yeah. I have Shivam Dube has just entered the auction. It took a little while for someone to put their paddle up. So we were actually wondering to see after all our build-up if any of the franchises actually show some interest. But now the bidding has begun for Shivam Dube. So we'll have to wait and see. Ajit, let's come back to Shivam Dube for you. And you've seen him closest quarters. We're looking at him more as a batting all-rounder who can probably bowl in a few overs if and when required.
He's bowled consistently for us at least.
Yes.
And I know domestic cricket's a bit different to what he's likely to face. I mean, you haven't seen too many guys in recent times with that sort of raw power. Left-hander when he bats, quite a smart bowler. So, and he's impressive. You can sometimes make out the difference between players, who are scoring runs and the way they are scoring runs, and he clearly seems the part. Hopefully, he can prove it on a bigger stage. We'll have to wait and see.
Interest from Bangalore and Delhi as we start off.
Yeah, I think even Ajit mentioned earlier, Bangalore need that middle order batsman to follow up with Kohli and ABD and Hetmeyer, and Bangalore would go all out because they don't potentially
Mumbai bidding as
Mumbai
well.
have joined in. Here's the locals. So now this gets interesting. To see.
Bangalore
Mumbai always bid.
And Bangalore have more money. So
then this makes for an appetizing contest.
and you will see
Mumbai
Punjab
v Bangalore.
swooping in the end and then picking because they have double the money.
Yeah, I mean, let's come back to that. When you have that significant purse, at what point are you willing to test the auction and say, all right, if you see two guys, let's come in a little later? How does that work, Haji?
Look, given my history with Kings 11 Punjab, I'm not sure they're going to come over the top and smash Mumbai Indians out of the park here. I think that was a pretty good buy, I reckon, Sarfraz Khan for a minimal price. I think he's a pretty good player, and they've done well there to play a finishing role. So I can't see Kings 11 coming in hard for Dubai, in the future here.
Mumbai Indians continue to bid for him. It would be wise for them to find someone who can do Hardik Pandya's role, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Hardik Pandya possibly at this point a better bowler, or has got a bit more speed.
Yeah,
his bowling. But this guy is, I think, as good a hitter as Hardik Pandya. At least, okay, Hardik Pandya has done it at a bigger level. So maybe not fair to compare, but in terms of ability, he can hit
any obvious weaknesses? Play spin well, play space well.
Yeah, and has batted really well this year, and it wasn't just hitting. I mean, even in 4-day cricket this year, has batted sensibly, but still hit the big shots. So, yeah, not surprised. I think, and couple of the games, or not couple, one of the games which was on TV, he scored 100 as well. So, enough people have watched it.
Your two good buddies, Ashish Nehra and Zahir Khan, seem to be in the bid for him. I don't know if you let slip this information to them that you rate this man very highly.
They did have a quiet word.
That quiet word is translated in Ashish Nehra taking it to 3.8 for Bangalore, at which point Mumbai seemed to have pulled out. But now there's a new bidder. It looks like Mumbai are back in it. So yeah, so it continues. It's Punjab. Okay, so Kings 11 Punjab are in it now. So Punjab obviously have waited to see
because they need that slot. They need the Indian middle order all-rounder. They don't have that. They let go of Akshar Patel. So
it does look like that the might of the money might is with Punjab this season. Haji, what you would have given to have this sort of financial bandwidth last year?
No, we actually did have good financial backing, I must admit. Our owners were quite good. Just that, I mean, if you need someone, you've got to spend the money on them. That's the point. So, unfortunately, a couple of our high-priced players, like Aaron Finch, didn't fire a shot. So, you wouldn't bank on that happening ever. So, it's a little bit more of a punt, I guess, with a younger kid that's never played IPL before, but they've got to take that punt. They've got to fill that slot. That's the point.
I like that you are giving all your references from Punjab, but nothing from the days of Gujarat Lions. I know it was a very different approach to the auction given their limited tenure in the IPL. But what was it like with them?
Well, it was very good actually, and I think, to be honest, we actually started with a better core group. We had Suresh Raina, Jadeja,
Brendan McCullum, I think, was there. Yeah, Dwayne Smith was there.
Faulkner. Yeah, so I think our core group, we had two good all-rounders, two overseas, and two really strong Indian players. So we already had 5 players that were outstanding T20 cricketers. Right. So that was a bit different when we were at Kings level, when we just started with Akshar Patel, who, was probably not in that echelon of T20 superstars, but pretty good at his job. And we had to fill a lot more. So it was a lot more difficult actually to get right. So I thought we did a pretty good job, but Gujarat Lions is pretty good actually. Working with Raina was excellent, and first year was great. Second year probably didn't really have much of a backing from the higher powers, but that's the way it goes.
Okay, so confirmation that Shivam Dube, the Mumbai all-rounder, has gone to Royal Challengers Bangalore for 5 crore. So Shivam Dube, you'll see a picture or two in coming days and months, because he's highly rated by Ajit Agarkar. And what does he add to this RCB squad? Gaurav Sundaraman, who've already got Shimran Hetmeyer and a local opening bat in Devdutt Padikkal.
So in one of the predictions you showed me, I had put Dubey to RCB. So
had you?
Yeah, so because they need that spot,
and
like Ajit's been telling from the first, they need a middle order to Indian finisher to kind of follow up with ABD and Kohli, and I think it was a battle between Mumbai and RCB, and RCB needed him more.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure
fair
though.
Price, 5 crore fair price for Shivam Dube?
I think so. I mean, it could have gone to anything if there were people who are a bit more desperate. But you always thought that he'll go for a decent price because of the performances that he's put over the last few months, whether it's in one-day cricket domestically or in the Ranji Trophy. And the way he's batted, you can easily see the ability to do well. Last year in the MPL, in the Mumbai Premier League, he had a really good tournament, smashed it all around. So I'm sure enough people would have watched him. The bigger test is whether he can do it at this level. But the ability seems there, the potential seems there. He's improved a lot over the last year or so, temperamentally as well. So expect him to create an impact.
And this was a slot that was up for grabs in RCB, wasn't there?
Definitely.
An Indian all-rounder, which they tried someone like Pawan Negi.
That helps their balance a
happened.
lot.
Yeah.
And he's a medium pacer. He's going to play under Kohli, which helps his India chances a lot more.
Of course.
So let's see how it goes.
Okay, Shivam Dube to RCB, and very quickly, in the blink of an eye, Varun Chakravarthy, who've been building up as the next big prospect, is already attracting a serious amount of bid. And I'm surprised, or maybe you aren't, that Chennai Super Kings are very interested in him for an unknown quantity.
And the funny part was they
TNPL,
went till 3.4 crores, which is what they have.
Yes.
And then the auctioneer actually asked them if they want to go more, and they said they don't have more money.
Yeah, so that's simple as that. I mean, they were happy to spend their last kitty at this, but it looks like he's still going in 4 crore plus. So clearly, Varun Chakravarthy's
And
hype
Punjab
is
as
being built
well.
up to, and Punjab. So already with lots of spin, but they don't mind adding more spin to that team.
Yeah, again, mystery spinner though. I mean, if not a lot of people know about him, might create at least an early impact, early part of the season. I haven't, to be honest, I haven't seen a lot of him, so we'll have to wait. There have been hits and misses as far as these mystery spinners are concerned. Hopefully, he's the real deal.
You know, Haji, I'm curious if there are, say, some franchises that have done their homework and are bidding aggressively for a player that maybe a certain franchise has no idea about. I don't know if that ever happened when you were on the auction table for your two franchises. But if that does happen, is there any temptation to quickly jump in, or do you only go with your set plans and your homework of what you know? There are a couple of franchises that obviously are interested in Varun Chakravarthy. Would other franchises who may not have heard of him, or does that not happen? Everyone's heard of the same amount of players.
No. Most times everyone's heard of the same players, or everyone knows probably a majority of who the top 50 players are, and everyone they talk and they get around certain things. But there was always a thought that if Mumbai Indians stick their paddle up, then you probably should go with them because they've probably got the most resources to work out whether that guy was good or not, if he was an unknown. So that was probably one of the things we thought, okay, well, let's jump in with them and see how we can go.
That's a very cheeky way to approach an auction. Mumbai spent all that time, effort, manpower, money, and put in the scouting system, and you wait at the auction table to see who they put the paddle up for and try and play them.
Yeah. Well, they're Reliance. They've got everything, haven't they? So, there's only, when was it? A few years ago, they had, 65 to 100 players on their list. So, they knew most of them. So it was only fair that you follow the leaders, and they've won it, 3 times. So it's, why not?
Oh, Lord. 5.6 crore and counting for Varun Chakravarthy.
Well done, Gaurav Sundararaman.
Happy day, Gaurav Sundararaman. You continue to impress with your... But then again, if all the franchises knew it, then I least expect you to... I most definitely expect you to know it.
Yeah, but again, mystery spinner, all teams are bidding. I saw Chennai bidding, I saw RCB a little bit, now Rajasthan are bidding, Punjab are bidding. So maybe they're all boosting the prices, but how much ever you boost, Punjab has the advantage, and they always went into this auction with that advantage.
And you believe that this player, you can't really equate worth versus the player in this situation, can you?
You can't. And again, auction is something, the price is coincidental.
Yes.
Whether you perform or not, now it's up to the player's temperament and how good he is to actually deal with the price. But the auction dynamics, the demand, the supply dictates the price. So if this was a bigger auction, Varun wouldn't have got so much.
Yeah. I know that there's been so much chat in the past, ex-players coming out and saying there should be a limit to what an under-19 player or an uncapped player can earn, just to ensure that the ultimate prospect of playing international cricket remains at the top. I don't know where you stand on that, but someone like Varun Chakravarthy, now happy for him that he's going to be making a lot of money today.
Yeah, but does that mean he's not thinking of an India cap? I hope not. That's the case. That you can't speak for another individual. I hope that is not the case. this sort of money kind of gives you that security to then put everything and all the energy that you have in getting better as a cricketer. So, as far as I look at from here, it should be a good thing for any player that the financial worry is not there. If you get paid well in the IPL, then you can focus on cricket.
Right, it's one thing about financial security, Haji. It's another thing making now what seems to be 7 crore for an uncapped player as we enter that sort of range. Now we're entering $1 million territory then and thereabouts, or close to that. Do you see that generally with the players you've dealt with, the uncapped players, the Indian players, that the appetite or the attitude still remains to play international cricket? Otherwise, is there a chance that we might relax into this financial comfort that may mean uncapped players are quite happy playing just 2 months in the year?
Yeah, I think that has definitely changed in the eyes of some certain countries. I mean, if I can be frank, I think the West Indies is one country for sure where, we've seen Pollard, Bravo, all these legends of the game choose IPL riches over country, and that's probably, there's a few reasons why that. I don't begrudge these guys their money at all, but certainly the IPL riches have become a lot more attractive than representing your country, a sort of, a dysfunctional sort of country in which they're trying to operate in. But as a youngster, I know that all the young kids want to play IPL, and does that detract from wanting to represent your country? Look, I don't think so. I think this is just a part now of a 2-month section of the calendar. Having said that, though, I'm pretty sure Jaydev Unadkat, who's just got another pile of money, is not desperate to represent his country right now. He's in a good space and he'll make sure that he does well in IPL.
Well, if you're looking at Varun Chakravarthy's Cricinfo profile like I am now, which tends to be the case once you've entered this territory, we know that we've not listed any of his 2020 numbers, that he's played 9 list A games and he played 1 first-class game where he got tonked on the park, 105 runs in 40 overs and got 1 wicket. So that tells you a story in itself. Due respect to Varun, and we're all very happy that he's going to make, in excess of 8 crores now.
The interesting thing is the 2 bidders are Dinesh Karthik and Ravichandran Ashwin, and both of them have seen him very closely, and both of them, especially KKR, Dinesh Karthik is a huge fan of him during the TNPL itself, and he was the one who called him for trials last year. So it's clear that it's surprising they don't need him technically because they have 3 spinners already.
I'm just thinking, where are they going to fit him? 4-man spinner?
Maybe they need to change the Eden Gardens pitch again, back to 2012, 2013.
Yeah. Thankfully, it's KKR's money, not Dinesh Karthik. So
Dinesh Karthik has the money as well.
Look. I mean, obviously they've both seen him, and that's why they're desperate to get him. Again, it's one of those things, like Gaurav said before. It's the dynamics of the auction at the moment, where this particular player was in demand, and there were 2 teams desperate for him, and had the money to keep, trying to outbid each other. In the bargain, the player gets lucky, which is a great thing for the player. Okay,
the money has been finally decided by Kings 11 Punjab, Brad Hodges' former team. 8.4 crore, Hodgie, is what they have picked up Varun Chakravarthy for, who's made quite a name for himself. 27-year-old from Tamil Nadu, playing for, help me with the team, the Karaikudi Kalal. Is that the right one?
No, he plays for. That was the last season. This year he played for a different team. This was the team he started off with.
Well done.
Last year he did well for another team.
Okay, so that means the team with Ashwin and with Mujib must also find place for Varun Chakravarthy. Thoughts on that, Brad Hodge?
Not sure how he's going to play. I'm trying to work out if I've got Mujib and I've got Ashwin. I'm just not sure how he's going to fit into the 11. So you're playing 8.4 crores for someone who's probably potentially going to play a couple of games and sit on the bench. I think the only thing I can think of is that he's going to be back up for Mujib, where we saw the impact that he had last year when he broke his thumb or his finger and went off the field and affected our team a lot. But I'm not sure if you can get 12 overs out at Mohali. That's one of the things, and I don't think they got the backup to be able to fit him in there in their 11.
Kolkata have been successful with a 3-man spin attack. So can't Punjab replicate that, or is it just about conditions? Can you not try and doctor conditions?
Well, the other thing is that for KKR they've also got Andre Russell, who bowls the speed of sound and is the greatest all-rounder in the T20 game. They've now backed that up with Carlos Brathwaite, and that was probably the one area where they thought they could get it. Looking at Kings 11 Punjab, they haven't got that strong all-rounder that they had in Stoinis that could bowl 4 overs. They've gone now to Moses Enrique. So you wouldn't think that Moses Enrique can bowl on the power play. I know that Ashwin is a big fan of the guys that are slightly different. There's a different way that he thinks, and it might be something for the future as well. These guys don't come around too often, so it might be once in a generation player where if you don't get him now, you're never going to get him. So he might be a 10-year player for Kings 11 Punjab.
He doesn't bat though, does he? He's just a bowler. So
that's a lot to pay for one skill bowler.
But it happens. We saw Pawan Negi get that, Unadkat get that. It's again, it might work. It might be a huge failure like how Negi was. So you never know. We'll know it maybe
hopefully gets
2-3
an opportunity
months later.
But doesn't sit on the bench.
Yeah, like Ramat said earlier, with KKR playing 3 spinners, I think if they Mujib, Ashwin and Varun, so that's 12 solid overs, and they don't have a great pace attack. And if Tai is not available, they have only Shami and Ankit Rajput. So maybe they use Varun and Mujib in their death for all you know.
I mean, Mike Hesson has been one to rely on spin in these conditions. Played 3 New Zealand spinners and bamboozled India on the opening day of the World T20. So he's not averse.
Mohali is a different.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, it's a tough ground for spinners anyway, so it's a pretty good pitch.
One thing we know is there's no shortage of variation now in that team. Ashwin and Varun will play together, so that should work well. Raji, can't go wrong, that combination, Ashwin and Varun together in the same dressing room.
It'll be good fun in the nets anyway, yeah. It'll be good fun to watch actually. So, with Mujib as well. It'll be exciting. I hope this kid gets an opportunity as Aj said, you just want them to see that, they're up to it and they get a chance. But I just got the funny feeling that I don't see him playing a massive part for Kings 11 Punjab. And if you're spending that amount of money, you want him to play every game. But we'll wait and see. We'll see how his year pans out. I hope he does well and contributes to the Kings doing well. So that's what we want to see.
Yes, quick look at how that's affected the Kings 11 purse. That's a lot of their balance purse that's gone on one player. Remember, they came in with 36.2, so it's over 25% of their purse that they came into with, but they still have a lot of money to spend, 17.55 crores, so they can still decide the fate of a lot of players. They still have a lot in their own hands, and beg your pardon, this, as we look around that team, Chennai have nearly exhausted their entire purse after bidding 5 crore for Mohit Sharma. Mumbai picking up Lasit Malinga and Anmol Preet Singh for not too much. They're looking around elsewhere. Then Carlos Brathwaite for good money to Kolkata, Shimran Hetmaya and Shivam Dubey with good money to Bangalore. And we've still got Delhi with a significant amount of money in their kitty, in spite of quite a busy first hour or so of this auction. What are we expecting for the second half?
The next big set is the overseas quicks. Mm-hmm. A lot of teams need those 140 plus bowlers, quick bowlers. Like KKR don't have a fast overseas quick. A lot of teams Sunrisers need some backup. So I think around set 14 is when they all come again. So I guess there would be some interest from set 14 and then the accelerated process.
Very well. Let's come back at that point then, gentlemen. Take a quick breather. Thank you, Ajit. Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you, Haji. We'll take a quick breather and join you again as more happens from the IPL auction. Remember, you can catch every player as they come out from this auction on our live blog on ESPNcricinfo.com as well as the ESPNcricinfo mobile app. We'll be back again with our auction coverage in just a little while from now.